I'm gonna turn the meeting over to Dave Bierman, President of the Council, and he'll run.
Want to welcome everybody to the Monday, May 20th, 2024 joint Starke County Commissioner and Council meeting. We're both here present in quorum. The first item on tonight's agenda, we'll stick with the agenda as proposed. The first item on the agenda, I just wanted to address meeting procedure. I feel like, and I'm going to take a lot of this. I'll apologize to both boards in advance. I let things, I think, get a little out of control last time.
Yep.
Traditionally, in the past, we have taken questions and comments at the end, and so we've decided jointly that we're going to go back to that. We're going to start putting this on our agenda so that it reminds everybody. The reason being is that in terms of timing, people are following this agenda. Some people are joining us remotely. They're expecting to be pretty close in time, and if one thing drags out from too many questions or too many emotions or all these other things that go on, it makes it hard to get through the business portion of our meeting. So we've always done that traditionally. As long as I've been on the council, that's how we used to do it. You know, unless something's like totally pressing, you know, I mean, there is that, you know, remote situation. As far as public comment though, again, like I said, we will take any and all comment at the end. So please feel free to take detailed notes. I was going to bring pens and paper, and then some of the young people laughed at me and said, nobody does that anymore. They just take notes on their phone. So that's just me.
If it isn't,
Donnie, how about, do you take notes on the paper or do you put them on your phone?
think about it.
I do. I draw pictures, notes, and everything else. So then we'll move to the next item on the agenda. Kathy Norris.
If they do one on the agenda.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, but if you do want to be on the official agenda, all you have to do is contact the auditor's office. Make sure you do it 48 hours in advance, because that's the only way we can change it if it's already published. So please do that.
Sarah, will you give Kathy one of the chairs?
Yeah, get back. This way. This is, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for accommodating us today. We come here for a couple of reasons today. I'm the president of the hospital board and have several board members here today. Marty Lucas, Dolores Bennett. And I think that's probably it from our board. We also have on our board Dr. Fritz, Ted Hayes, who has resigned as of yesterday, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Let's see, Roseanne Beaubert, which Charlie knows. Charlie's not here today.
No.
And Larry Jurnas. So there's 7 of us all together, and that is by Indiana statute. There's 7. But anyway, we come today because we have a new CEO that we're very proud of. He's a breath of fresh air for us. His name is Simon Ratliff. He is here today. He comes to us with a great deal of experience. And in particular, what we like the best about Simon is he has small rural area experience. And I think that makes a difference when you are operating a hospital such as ours. But we're going to talk a little, not only do we want to introduce Simon, but there's going to not potentially, but probably be some changes to the facility that will not be noticeable by the public, but it'd be mostly a change in reimbursement. And that is a critical access hospital as opposed to an acute care hospital. Part of the problem is with the federal government ratcheting down payments and costs continuing to go up, small rural hospitals struggle financially. The bigger hospitals can accommodate them. Well, the federal government recognized that small rural hospitals are important to communities like ours. And they came up with several different programs, and we've looked at a couple of those programs, but critical access fits us the best. So that is not final yet. We want to say that right up front. There is one final step that will happen this week, and that is the middle level of management at the corporate headquarters has to present to the upper level of management, and they have to approve it. But we believe that's kind of a formality with everything we've been through. But anyway, Simon, I'd like you to talk about rural access and introduce yourself. And I might have him tell the coal miner story, but that would prolong our meeting here. So,
yeah. So Simon Ratliff, new CEO, been here for about 3 months. I am from Eastern Kentucky originally, so born and raised in a very small town. My family, my father's a coal miner, has been for 40 years. It's been a pleasure to be here. In my very short time here, we realized very quickly we've got to find a way to make healthcare sustainable in this area. The hospital is very important to the community in a lot of different ways. And luckily, working with the board and with their support, they found there's been a recent rule change that allows us to go back and apply to become a community access hospital. And what that does, it allows us to provide all the services that we currently provide and grow services, but we get paid additional money, additional reimbursement through the government for that. So it's a huge win for us. The second thing that we're doing is we're going to starting up at Porter Hospital an internship for internal medicine physicians. We're going to rotate those doctors down here to Starke in the outpatient setting, in the hospitalist setting, in the ER setting. So they can come down here and see what a great community it is. And then we can recruit those physicians to stay here long term. But the key for us is we want to make you guys aware of what's going on. We obviously want to have your all support as we go to make changes like this because it is a partnership. We hope to have an answer, like Kathy said, by the end of this week.
But critical access is what the board supports wholeheartedly. In fact, we supported it so much, we wrote a resolution for community health systems saying the reasons why we supported it, and I have a copy of that. I can pass that out to you. And that we urge them to hurry and finish their review of it because it will be critical to the ongoing operation of the facility. It will secure the financial future. And like Simon has said, it allows potentially to grow services as well. So we're very, very excited about that. And the board is 100% on board with this. I'll give you a copy of this. You can pass it around. That's our resolution on why we chose to do this. So just let you take one and pass it around. And but we also feel that this will, by making this change in the lease, there is a comment in there that they're required to maintain acute care licensure. And I am not quite sure that the licensure will change. I have to investigate that a little fuller, but even if it doesn't change the licensure and change the contract, we still feel that this might be a good time to renegotiate the lease or take a look at it and see if you want to do that. There is remainder on it, I think 12 more years, 2 years on this one. It expires in 26. And then there's one more 10-year extension. So this would be a way to secure the long-term future of the hospital and make sure that there's a facility here and services for folks that need it.
This will also come with some financial investment back into the location, both on the exterior and interior part of the building, as well as equipment. As we get through this process, we're more than happy to come back and give you details around that, what the investment looks like.
But the best thing of it is it maintains the present level of services and gives us the opportunity to grow more. It does not reduce them. So we're very, very happy about that. The board was very adamant that we maintain the same level of services at a minimum. So we're looking forward to making this change, and we need you to be aware of that. And the commissioners may be required to negotiate that lease.
Is there a time frame or any associated deadlines with this process that we need to be mindful of?
Well, they tell me, and Simon might be able to add to that, that once they start the process and initiate the application, it will probably take about 6 months to change over. So I would imagine that period of time would be the time that you'd want to be renegotiating that lease, if that's something that you feel is needed at this time, according to the terms of that
I
lease.
think it depends on the
We probably-
promises that you just spoke about.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
and whether they come through, I mean, if I could just interject for a second, I mean, I've been around the council for some time. And put a lot of work into this job, but also put a lot of work into meeting with all the different CEOs that you folks have brought to the table.
Yeah.
I want to welcome you. It's great. I mean, I love the story about Kentucky. The last guy was a Cherokee Indian. His grandpa, you know, like we had a rural guy last time.
Yeah.
And we thought it was really gonna be good. We were doing some things on the side about negotiating some, you know, some other things about how we could partner in the county and things like that. And much like past iterations of CEOs, it just completely dissipated. And so, you know, I just have to tell you personally, on behalf of my all of our constituents, we're not gonna trust you right away. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been sold this too many times. We've got a big primary care problem in Stark County. And the hospital's never been committed really with trying to address that. And there's an opportunity for you to work with HealthLink. And I'll just say, I'm on HealthLink's board too, so I don't want, just to let you know that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's one of the problems that we identified is, we're short about 30 primary care physicians here to really support the population. We were shocked when we saw it. So we'd like to see that, some activity there. You mentioned services, we've all had a little taste of having to go outside, and it's shocking. It's shocking that we don't have cardiac rehab. I mean, some of the basic things that we should be able to offer people. I mean, we all know that the story with OB and, the risks and the liability that are associated with that, but there aren't any basic services here. So I think, I think it's going to be a wait and see. And it's refreshing to see that, we're recycling again, but, hopefully you're going to be here for a while. I mean, the bad thing is we really liked the last CEO and got in the trenches with him and, learned a lot, expected a lot from the hospital and, we don't hear from you guys very much. I mean, I don't want to hear about the improvements because, those were the things that we used to talk about. And so we don't hear about that as much anymore. I mean, you guys have taken a lot of ownership with that. And we appreciate that. But on the grand scheme of things, so just as far as wellness and health in Stark County, you probably saw the Health First initiative. The new director of the health department has taken a real, strong role in working with communities like ours. But we're almost at the very last every time, like the bottom four, we're always there.
Yeah.
And we need a partnership from the hospital to be able to move forward with that and move out of that and move into the top.
I agree 100%. And I'm not here to ask you for my trust. I'm here to ask you for a chance, for an opportunity. All right, let's come back here 6 months from now, see where we are and have those discussions. There's nothing I would rather do than to be part of a team that gets to actually invest in this community, in this hospital. The community deserves it and our employees deserve it. There's nothing they would like more than new equipment come in, the hospital be renovated, and me and the entire board, we would love to be part of that.
The nice thing about critical access hospitals is what we call a cost-based reimbursement. And that means that the money that they put into the facility to upgrade it is paid for by the federal government. The cost of that is paid for. So it's no longer you have to balance off, how much can you earn and how much can you spend, so to speak. I mean, you still have to do those things, but it is a much better financial impact for the hospital and for this community. So, because you can retain those services and you get paid for them.
Well, it sounds exciting. I mean, the big problem I have is 2 years ago, I mean, we met with, the hospital leadership. It was always, don't worry about Stark County. It's a moneymaker for us. It's a good vehicle to get, people to LaPorte and Valpo. Don't worry about it. We're making money. And then all of a sudden you folks are like, we're in the red. We're losing money. We're sinking. Like, we're in dire straits.
Yeah.
How this seems like an impossibility to go.
That's been interesting.
there to there.
We'll say that.
Yeah. COVID changed the world.
And when Dr. Subarow left, we lost our surgeon. Do you foresee any hiring of new surgeons here at Knox? Because one of the things our people have to travel so far if their loved ones are in the hospital. We did a lot of minor things here. And I would hope that would be in the future.
Yeah, so we've already started up a specialty clinic. So just down by the hospital, there's a triple wide. We're actually rotating now, general surgery, orthopedic surgery, cardiology, pulmonology, and neurology through that clinic. So they get the visits here locally. The surgeries that come out of that clinic, orthopedic and general surgery, we do here. We do at this hospital. This past month, we did 48 surgeries this past month,
Wonderful.
which is a huge jump for us.
Very good.
We've increased ER admissions. We've made a focus and a commitment from leadership to the board that our goal is to keep as many people here locally as we can keep here. There's some service that'll have to go out. They'll have to go to bigger places, right? It's part of it. But the basic care that we need here, along with some general surgery, GI, urology, things like that, we want to be able to do here locally.
Very good.
Yes.
Thank you.
And if you will, stay in touch with us, like you say. You're talking 6 months,
yeah.
you get something bigger in 3 months, if you would come back to us or ask the board.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind, because I do think this is a good opportunity for us to disseminate information about the hospital and talk about the good things that are happening to actually come in front of, because this is the most widely covered board ever. It's the most exciting board too, so everything gets approved.
Exciting.
Yeah, yeah. So I wouldn't be opposed to having Simon or somebody from the hospital board coming and making a report to you every quarter and telling you how our admissions are going and which doctors we've gotten recruited and what pieces of equipment we've been able to upgrade with this new reimbursement. But you do also need to remember, you need to talk with your attorney and see whether or not you need to renegotiate this lease. So not only is it an opportunity to do so, but it may require it depending on how you interpret the lease. So, but we are very, very happy with some. Very happy.
So you'll have to dig up the lease.
And I probably have a copy of that. Do you have a copy of that?
It's an old one, like a 90s version.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, but you'll see in there is a section in there that says that they're required to maintain acute care hospital licensure. And it's a little unclear to me in my discussions with the folks at Indiana Hospital Associations and some of my contacts, whether or not a critical access hospital is a different licensure. It may be under that and it just changes the reimbursement, but I'm not sure. But again, once again, this would be opportunity for the county if they're interested to negotiate for a new lease. I think it's important that we secure the long-term future, and 13 years, in my opinion, is very long-term, so.
Dealt with that on the other side of the things with Glasgow Memorial down on Glasgow, but from the county's end of things. Oh, look, I know it's an old.
Yeah, are you on the hospital board there?
No, I'm their attorney, but
You're their attorney. Oh, he's the attorney for Glasgow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, he's the attorney for this too, so. And another thing that finally that I do want to mention is Ted contacted me over the weekend. And I had breakfast with him yesterday and he is ready to resign. He personal reasons, he thinks it's time for him to do that. And so we did announce that in our board meeting this morning that he had done that. And the Indiana code, which is like 16-22 something or another, states that all these boards are different and how they get populated. And this particular board requires that the hospital board submit at least one, but not more than 3 names to the county commissioners who are the appointing authority. And if you don't like those 3 names, you can come back to us and say, we want 3 more names. So, and then we can give that. And then at the end of the day, if you don't like any of them, you can do what you want anyway. But we did talk about it this morning. We're not prepared to give you our 3 names until our next meeting because it was so sudden. So, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for us to be without Ted for 30 days. And then we will prepare a list for you and give it to you certainly, hopefully we don't meet till the 4th Monday of June. So it'll be after that. So, but I wanted to reiterate that. So.
Their second meeting in July.
Yeah, probably. So, if anybody's interested, they can contact one of the board members. It also says, and there talks about their qualifications, but when you review the Indiana code, the only qualification listed is that they need to live in Starke County. So, but that's it. So if you have no more questions for us, we are excited about what the future is bringing. We're very, very happy with Simon's leadership, and you guys may have liked the last one, but I didn't care for him that much. So, some people you didn't care.
Change the.
Anybody?
I tell them.
Anybody?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, not far away at all. Yeah. Good.
That's your 10 years.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right, yeah. So we put her in a roller chair.
Yeah, just roll her out.
Yeah. Oh, no, I
The
understand.
next item on the agenda is the US 30 Coalition.
Yeah. This isn't actually the coalition. This is folks doing the Pell study. Coalition is a separate thing run by the former mayor of Warsaw. Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
Oh,
I had a PowerPoint presentation to go along with this that we don't have, so.
hopefully that's what.
Oh,
printed
that's
out.
why it's in front of you, you're good to go.
There you go.
Sorry about that, I didn't realize. Printed copies. So first off, thank you for allowing me some time on your agenda today, especially such a busy agenda. My name is Brett Lackey. I am with the NDOT Propel US 30 West Pell Study. I am the project manager on the consultant side for that. Tonight, I just wanted to briefly give an update on where we are with the study and kind of discuss the alternatives development process and where we are with that right now. So as a quick refresher, the Propel studies are looking at 180 miles of US 30 and US 31. I won't get into all the 4 different study areas, but our study area here, US 30 West, on your slide is just circled in green there. The US 30 West study area begins at State Road 49 in Valparaiso and extends east along US 30 to Beach Road in Marshall County. And it also includes a stretch of US 31 from the US 30 interchange south to County Road 700. So, you know, folks may have heard us say this before, but the Pell study process is a little different than what most are probably used to with NDOT projects. This is an early planning study, early engagement with stakeholders, and this is looking at a planning horizon out to year 2045. Also, as a reminder, we don't anticipate that the Pell studies are going to identify or recommend one single build alternative. Instead, the studies will result in a reasonable set of alternatives that could move forward as part of NDOT's regular call for projects. So we just wrapped up the second of a 3-tiered alternatives analysis process. So we just the public comment period was closed on the level 2 screening report. During that level 2 public comment period, we've been out in the area. We've had 4 community office hours. Actually, we've had several more since then, but during the comment period, we had four office hours. Our level 2 report was hosted at 11 local libraries, and we've also been meeting with stakeholder advisory committees in the Farm Bureau. In terms of schedule for this study, right now we're in the second phase, level 2. The draft level 2 screening report came out the end of March and was available for public comment through April 30th. And so right now what we're doing is we're working to address those comments that we received and to finalize that level 2 report, take it from draft to final. But important to note that we will be accepting comments throughout the study on any of the materials that are produced. So looking ahead a little bit, we expect that our level 3 analysis report will come out at the end of the summer, and then the Pell study itself will be done by the end of the year. So given the size and complexity of the study area, again, we're doing the 3-tiered alternatives screening process. You may remember that during level 1 or the universe of alternatives, we identified 55 different improvement concepts. Here in level 2, what we did was we took those 55 concepts and applied them to specific locations throughout the corridor. Those were specifically called primary intersections, which are those that have a major collector or above roadway that intersects US 30. So within the whole study area, we looked at 29 primary intersections. Of those, 3 were located in Starke County. So that was level 2. Now, right now, what we're working on and what will be the next report that comes out will be the level 3 screening. In the level 3 screening, we're looking at the primaries again. We're also looking at secondaries and everything in between. So level 3 is where we put it all together, the entire stretch of roadway. So while there's only 3 intersections included at level 2 for Starke County, level 3 will include the duration, the entire length of US 30 through Starke County. Level 3 will include both qualitative and quantitative factors, and this will allow us to assess costs, benefits, and impacts. A quick overview of how the level 2 screening went. Really, there's four steps for the level 2 screening. The first step is a decision tree assessment tool. It's basically a set of standardized questions that we're asking to see to identify the scale of what improvements are needed at the primary intersections. It's based on safety data, operational data, and public comments. Second step was a planning level traffic operations analysis. And the third step was a qualitative evaluation matrix. And this is where we're looking at environmental impacts, relative costs, and we're eliminating any alternatives that are resulting in a disproportionately high impact or low benefits. The final step was a conceptual footprint comparison. This is where we're actually drawing footprints of these improvements at these locations to get a high level estimation of the area of disturbance. And so while the improvements that were considered vary slightly through the 4 different study areas, The ones that were considered specifically at level 2 in Stark County include access management alternatives, free flow facility alternatives, intersection improvements, and that's a big category that can include simple things like adding or extending turn lanes, all the way up to innovative intersection designs like RCIs or roundabouts or green T intersections. Crossroad overpasses and underpasses were another commonly featured alternative in level 2 report, and so were interchanges. Included in your packet is a map of all the primary locations that were looked at level 2, including the 3 for Starke County. The ones that were included in Starke County are US 30 and US 35, US 30 at County Road 750, and US 30 at State Road 23. Following that, there's a summary sheet in your packets. This is also available on our website. This summary sheet just really identifies all the different alternatives that are advancing in each location. So numbers 13, 14, and 15 on the top row there are the Starke County intersections. For US 30 and US 35, the draft level 2 screening recommended adding or extending acceleration or deceleration lanes. For US 30 and County Road 750, the recommendation was adding or extending XL decel lanes, as well as crossroad overpass as options. And then US 30 and State Road 23 had a pretty wide range of potential improvements put forward, adding lengthening turn lanes, adding extending XL decel lanes, converting to interchange, and then a suite of intersection improvements that could be chosen. So right now, again, we're busy processing the comments that we received during the level 2 public comment period, and we're revising our level 2 report accordingly. But again, I just want to mention that level 2 report is still available online to be reviewed and to be commented on. We'll be taking comments throughout the entire Pell study. You can visit our website, www.propelus30.com, and follow the links for the 30 West part of the webpage. There you can see the full report. Really, you can see all the reports that we've produced thus far, all the associated handouts. We also, for level 2, created an interactive map. Highly recommend folks check that out if you're interested in the study. It's a quicker format to view the data that's in the report, and an easy clickable map. And so we encourage everyone to check out the website and our social media accounts and review the materials that we've got on the website right now as we move from level 2 to level 3. So yeah, you can also get in touch with us social media, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So that was a very quick briefing. Just I wanted to give you guys.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
Why is 600 East not even designated at all? That's what,
I included that in my own personal comments.
yeah, I did too.
Yeah. Hopefully we see that addressed. How much of a time period between when the level 2 is finalized and the level 3 draft is published?
We
Or
don't
is that going to be, or is that going to happen at the same time?
There'll be some separation. How the exact dates will line up, I'm not entirely sure. We will be having another public information meeting and all that with when the level 3 comes out, which is expected late summer. We'll be revising the level 2 before then, so that should be posted before level 3 comes out, if I'm understanding your question correctly. And 600 will definitely be looked at, and all the intersections will be looked at level 3. Level 2, we were just starting at the ones that were designated as major collectors or above. So this is a certain roadway classification there. That's why we had to start.
I would say 600 would probably be designated more of a major collector than the school road.
Definitely.
But we don't make.
Otherwise, it'll turn that town into a ghost town. We don't want that. That's what we're seeing already.
And that's not
Major
not gonna happen.
What,
600 East is not gonna be forgotten about.
Can't read.
It won't be.
That's the main
Yeah,
thoroughfare
it
for
won't
the
be.
farmers.
I mean, I've had to talk with
their
state representatives and it won't be.
750, I realize that's a school road, but I think if you want to consider the safety of the kids, you
Yeah,
might consider
too.
not doing 750 and
Right.
doing 600.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially since 600 north dumps out right there, that runs along the backside of the school.
That's right. Who do you work for?
Company called CDM Smith. I'm the consultant for NDOT.
I just asked because I work for a consultant that does work for that too. Make sure we weren't on the same page.
Okay, no other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it kind of switches over to commissioner business.
Mark Ripley.
Right here.
Mark,
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
I don't know how familiar you are with what we do. Since 1977, we worked with Arrowhead and Kirksey on our public transportation. They sent out a request for the commissioner to approve Christine Chapman, the chairman of Kirksey, to sign off on the application for the fund. That's why I'm here today. I don't know if Rachel, have you guys copies?
have you seen this, Joe?
And this is for a single grant application
So everything that they will apply for to aid the county
in what time frame?
as far as. This is brand new.
Right.
Here we can do this.
Yeah, I'm just trying to define the scope of what we're authorizing.
Yeah.
It's just okay, here it is. This is just the 2025 application grant cycle.
For the 5311.
Yeah.
And if it benefits us, you want us to sign off, let them sign. Is that what you're at?
Right. They will be your voice in this process
Right.
with the federal government and the state.
I assume this streamlines things, so we don't have to worry about bumping up the deadlines as we develop what will be, as Kirksey develops what will be the grant application on our behalf. Correct?
Right.
Oh, everybody but him got.
You need one?
No, I've got.
He's got one right now.
Oh, hey, well, since I got you here, how things are going with the historical society?
Good.
We get
The Trigger House in Colorado. And hopefully we'll have that open to the public in about 2 months. The renovations are awesome. Bring it back to what it was. Trigger family was here last week. They're gonna donate an original bedroom set from the Trigger. And then our museum on 35. They're going ahead with a lot of different kinds.
The authorizing resolution looks fine. I don't know exactly what sections 5311, 5339 of the Federal Transit Act are, but I mean, if it's just authorizing someone to apply for grant, it's fine.
I'll make the motion to approve the authorizing resolution as presented.
I'll second.
Right?
Need that to sign.
We need one sign.
This one will go to the heart. Let me
Yep.
have your thing.
And then when might minutes of this meeting be available for you to copy? For our file?
After our next meeting, when we
Approval.
approve,
Okay,
yeah.
fine, okay. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for a minute.
Or
Good.
So the fire needs a water bomb in it, it started to leak. We got 3 quotes for you.
Yeah, that's what I did.
for a water pump?
One spirit sanitary.
That's more than the water pump.
There's other things they change while they're in there too.
Right.
Timing change should be replaced by 100,000. That vehicle's getting really close. I believe you have to pull the engine on that vehicle to do that work. That's why I think they put that up there.
Boards. Yes. Every day.
came in a little bit cheaper than Jody, which both came in a lot cheaper than the.
You should, because. Yeah, but you think you're gonna spend that much?
Typically,
Oil change, you don't think you're spending enough, because the tires are great.
typically what I end up doing by one year ago is starting to stop everything.
Motion.
Make the motion to approve. Work proposed from Pit Stop for $1,653.10. To be paid out of,
I would say, I told Rachel that I didn't be cute cat.
that's, what I was, yeah.
I'll second.
For discussion, Don, the other thing I was talking to Tori about is, since it's a fairly new vehicle and her vehicle maintenance, you may want to take like 500 out of that. So we were just kind of talking about yours, and was, you know, that way you take some out of that fund, because she probably only needs oil changes for the rest of the year, so it's up to you, but you may
Right.
want to.
And what she got in at 5 yet?
You got almost 1,000, don't you?
So the budget in total is 1,000. I think only one oil change has come out of it so far, so it's right up there, around about 1,000.
Up to you guys, so sorry.
Well, that's all right.
I think. Maybe we leave it as is, and then, because I'm sure we'll, between now and November. Have an opportunity to transfer it. Something else that might be more useful.
I feel like I want to transfer it.
Well,
Typically,
that's how she deals with you, not me.
typically with my budget, because it's like right under $6,000 total, that's exactly what we end up doing, but in there's switching everything around to cover whatever may need to come out.
And if something else does happen, you have it.
Right.
So.
What do you motion? I'll second it. On favor?
All right.
Gwen,
I don't know if you guys had time to look over some of the stuff I sent you. I'm trying to get putting a place to get $500 worth of testing equipment from the Riverwatch. No obligation or anything. I mean, there's a few things to do the testing so many times a year and that type of thing, but there's no penalty fees if we decide to back out for any reason, or to return the equipment or anything like that. I feel like it's important to look over the sheriff's office to keep track whether, you know, how the water quality is and healthy streams and macro invertebrates and that type of thing. I'm not saying I would go out on work time unless somebody had something like that to do, and Thomas is welcome to take the class as well and get certified.
you want to be able to take this class.
I've already taken it. I'm already certified. I just wanted to be able to get the testing.
So you wouldn't need $500 to buy.
No, I don't need any money. I just need somebody to sign that and send it in and be put through the process. It's kind of a tough process to get approved. So, but no money for anything like that. Just
Where does the money come from? For the.
they provide it to us for free.
Really?
If we're chosen.
Who is they?
The Hoosier River Watch through item.
Okay,
On the very back page,
Okay.
I believe, I typed up a bunch of things. I had to type up a bunch of things of how we would use it and the goals that it's on the bottom. And the goals that we have in mind for our Starke County area.
We need most on that, sir.
They started the application process by March. Not really.
make a motion to approve the Hoosier River Watch water monitoring equipment application for deputy surveyor.
Second. On favor?
All right,
Yes. Should I just grab that?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
People, they're asking, thank you, they're not already doing
Gardner.
Yes, sir. And it's no meeting. I am not.
I know that's a
Checks
bit,
that you need to report.
that's a bigger number than we've seen, but it seems low.
There.
Okay.
Those two are from our collection agencies you need to read.
Yep.
Tell Sarah.
Got a check from O'Hare. We're $218. And a check from Merchants Medical. $284.89.
That's Charles.
Good evening.
Even
Good evening. Good evening. You say so. Hey, my totals are up. Nothing, not a good stuff. Let's just focus on the report.
We have, as always, 4 out of 6 running. Same time, the base changes are our staff. We're at 87% staffing right now. With more than 2 paramedics at all times.
that's good.
Transfers, we did 46 out of last month. We've increased by 9. We've also been promoting and picked up new accounts that call in for transfers. We're currently working on more. Medic 2 also ran 2 lift assists and 12 emergency calls on top of it. Personnel, we have no full-time openings for EMTs. We have 2 applicants on a waiting list. 2 part-time drivers currently in EMT class. They're doing well, and actually tonight's their graduation from the EMT class. We have 1 new application. 2 new full-time paramedics were hired. One's already cleared and one's in their training process. We have 5 full-time paramedics as well as 6 starting at the end of May. And we only have 2 paramedic openings at this time. They did complete documentation training to try to increase what we have coming in now. Upcoming, we have advanced airway management with Real Airways. Last injury reported was 3-5. Was a chase car accident. Ambulance, everything's current, up to date, with the exception of 4149, which is going into John Griff service. It goes to Ford. Base maintenance, the roof leak was fixed. Ricky fixed it. Still waiting on entry quotes for the door systems. I had 2 of them that were supposed to have been here today, but they didn't show up. We got denied 4 out of 4 grant requests to purchase the power hose stair chair.
Got denied all.
Yeah, I got denied on all of them. I said they need criteria. But this doesn't stop me. I keep looking more and more. Received a $10,000 donation from Northern Indiana Community Foundation. And our protective equipment has been in good shape. Now for any questions on any of that or? No. That was the report. Basically, one of the other things here is a request for a healthy employee program. This is a program to help everybody get into shape if they want to. It started out with just EMS, and after talking with Rachel, she wanted me to make a countywide program, which I did. It's about 2 months in work. What I found was $2,000 a month, which includes up to 100 employees. How many of them participate, I don't know. With that $2,000 a month, what I did find was a donor to donate $1,000 a month, towards a healthy employee program. It gives you full access to the gym at MBS. And we're talking to Rachel. Basically, I'd like to ask for $1,000 to come out of the healthcare insurance line to cover that. Then it would cover all that, up to 100 employees in the county who want to participate in this.
Could we have a trial? Like,
good
I
question.
hate for you to sign up and then 5 people show. You know, whatever.
That's a good question. Can we table this until next?
I'm good with that.
I'll table it.
We table.
Good.
We used to have that from the insurance company.
Well, we still have a wellness
Yeah,
program,
Yeah,
but that's not
As
as detailed as that.
It's $28 a month. They're active and fit,
how much, sir?
$28 a month.
Yeah, when you come back, I'd like to know how this enhances, what this does on top of what the wellness initiatives already provided through our insurance carrier.
Sounds good. Travel request. On 7/19 through 7/21. Mike Wilcox is being honored at the National Holiday Events. I would like to send Brandy down there. She could probably use
Where's
more.
that gonna go at?
What's that?
Where's it at?
It's in Washington DC, right outside of Reagan Airport.
Okay.
I'm unsure of the cost. I just want to pursue it with you first. I mean, I can cover the cost out of the donation support.
I definitely think it should be pursued.
Okay, because I think she does need the closure. Also, credit cards, doing our transfers. We currently have a BP credit card. I would like to eliminate the BP credit card and go with WEX. You know, got a copy of it. WEX has over 45,000 gas stations that you can access. It gives us 3% back. Each driver will have their own PIN number. It also gives them access to the shop. So if they have a blowout on the road in Indy. They can't buy anything, any food. They can't buy anything that we don't authorize.
Oh, no.
Or know about, you know, and then we have a pin to that pin number, who's doing it. It also tells us where they're at, location.
This proposed been vetted by the auditor's office.
Oh, it sounded like it's a big job to do. I would be okay with it. Gotta go through the audit, but all.
Right.
It's all legit.
Richard wants me to come in front of you guys to get it.
You've had a conversation with her about this.
I have had it. It's so much better because we can actually track everything they do with that. And we do get money back. And if we eliminate the BP card, this one, I mean, it covers Family Express. It covers Exxon, wherever they're at. I mean,
So this is called WEX?
yeah, it's called Lex. It's basically the government card just for access to fuel. It used to be Fleet Pride, then it went Pacific Pride, now it's Lex.
I'd say, okay, as long as we go through with the audit.
Make the motion to move the EMS department to the WEX fleet cards for fuel purchases.
I'll second. All in favor?
Right. Last thing on my is, as we all know, August 5th, when Mike died, put a lot of stress and strain. With this baby boxes coming in, we have to have concrete walkway going from one end of the base to the other. That's all being funded by baby box people.
All right.
Sorry, I don't know what it is. At the very end of that, where the baby box is on the southeast corner, I would like to put an 8x8 concrete pad and make it Mike Wilcox Memorial Garden or whatever, and put a picnic in there. No money would come out of the donation fund.
I would think that'd be all right, but leave room for someone else. Hopefully we never have to put another name.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be bronze plaque on it,
Right.
so we could actually go all the way around.
Right.
But I talked to Lutheran Air, and they said as long as a picnic table's chained down,
Right.
you know, which is fine. I'm waiting on 3 estimates now. So,
It can be constructed, so it's permanent installation.
yes.
You take the farm, you make a picnic table.
Perfect.
Even get one of the plastic.
Yeah. I brought that to you for just pursuing.
How how you want this worded to, just to build a. How big? Would you say?
I would say 8 by 8.
All he just wanting approval tonight to move forward.
Yeah. And this is on the southeast corner. It's on our ground.
Yeah, it's on our ground.
Make a motion to approve an 8 by 8 memorial at the EMS base of Knox.
Second. All in favor?
Right.
Any questions?
I say get up with the auditor's office on that part.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
That's good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Evening.
Hello,
Oh,
Hi, Jerry.
I need some answers.
what's the question?
Questions on, a mobile home that, I,
Is this the same mobile home that we spoke about last meeting?
yeah,
The one
And,
that you said a volunteer fireman gave you permission to. Like,
What?
you said you could burn it instead of having to have it hauled off, that one, right?
Yeah.
begin with, what it was is that, I bought the mobile home with, about 5 years ago. And with the intent of remodeling, I mean, I already did remodel it, but then I was gonna rent it out again. Then the planning commission changed the rule and regulation, I didn't know, yeah, they upgraded it, so I couldn't rent it again. So I used it for storage for about 5 years, and then I got a letter from the planning commission that it was a danger, it had to be demolished. What my problem is with the other hand, is that I got two neighbors. One at 400 South, that he demolished a mobile home. He got no permits. He burnt the mobile home right on the property. And he got a dumpster and took all the stuff to Hamlet Junkyard. I got and used my mobile home. And then I got another neighbor on 150 that he just turned down a basement house and used my mobile home. I mean, my backhoe. And I helped him with it. And when he called the Bass Lake Fire Department, they said, "Well, you got to call us. You got to call us before you start burning." And this is 2 years ago in November. He says you got to call us because we don't want you to. We don't want to. Somebody could call in and say, "Hey, you sent the fire truck out there again." So anyhow, that's what he did. He never got no permits. He
You can make a note of that so the planning commission can find this person. So
Yeah.
find out where that was at.
yeah, his name was
Getting that, sir?
Because, like I was telling you last time, in the state of Indiana, the only thing that you can burn is refuse from trees and bushes and things like that. You cannot burn construction materials.
yeah, well, the Knox Center Fire Department says that on exceptions, I could have burnt that in my backyard.
You could have applied for a permit to
Permit.
burn it, yes.
Yeah,
But you have to
and in
remove all the
North
shingles, all the plastic,
In North Judson,
all the asbestos.
It's same for the whole state unless it's a local ordinance that
Yeah.
overrides it. So you still have to get a permit. I was on fire department for years. Like it's
getting the permit, I did get the permit to burn, but they changed it into a demolition.
well, the permit wouldn't come through the planning commission, it'd be through the state fire marshal.
Yeah,
And you probably could not get one as a person.
yeah,
It'd be really hard.
yeah.
The fire department would
Fire
usually,
department has to
I've
do
had
it.
several people do it, but I mean, you have to pay for an asbestos inspection.
Yeah,
And if there is asbestos, it has to be mitigated first. All the shingles have to be removed. I mean, it's very basic, what's left.
that's all well and good, but these two people the last 2 years didn't do that.
Well,
We'll accept their names so we can review that with our planning commission for sure. I mean, they broke the
Yeah.
law, so.
One's Jason, yeah,
How can we help you though, Jerry?
Huh?
How can we help you?
Today is, I got over $1,200 invested in just taking my truck and taking the stuff down to Winnemac. Taking the stuff down to Winnemac. And they charged me that just to dump, just for the fee for dumping. Plus I took 3 loads down there. And I took 3 loads down there. And I wonder why they're treating me different than they did these guys 2 years ago. And Jensen from the Bass Lake Fire Department said when I applied for the permit, I got the permit and I started burning. Jensen come out there and put the fire out. And he said, now you got a choice. In other words, I either take it to Winnemac or get rid of it, or I can pay. I got the letter here. I can be subject to $5,000 fine. Now, why should they treat me any different than anybody else?
Who did you get the permit from? The planning commission? You got the permit from the planning commission, not the state fire marshal's office.
I get from planning commission.
Yeah, see, the planning commission has no jurisdiction over burning. That's through the state fire marshal.
Well, they was the ones that, they acted as prosecutors. They acted as
So that's
prosecutors.
because you were supposed to demolish it and you burned it, and burning is not demolishing.
Whatever the legal terms are, but the bottom line is, I got about $1,200 invested in just hauling my stuff to Winnemac, and these guys didn't even buy a permit.
Well, like I said, we'll take their information. I mean, but honestly, it's neighbors telling on neighbors is usually how we find that out.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen, or the fire department.
Yeah.
Each one of us that's on a fire department always is watching our neighborhood too, to see what changes.
Yeah.
So, and I can tell you, Les Jensen told you the right thing.
Yeah.
He, by law, he has.
You did the right thing by taking it to the transfer stations, actually.
Yeah, because I was gonna save a $5,000 fine. And these guys didn't have to do nothing but just call the fire department and say, hey, we're gonna burn.
They might not call the fire department, they might be telling you they called the fire department. Sound like they snuck around and did something. they shouldn't.
No, because I was there,
Was you,
yeah,
when they talked to the fire department?
I was there and they said that, and on this Jason, he borrowed my backhoe to stir the fire around,
Right,
to keep it from burning. And there's 2 guys in a pickup truck left. I said, who's them guys? They're from the Bass Lake Fire Department. And they come over to see the fire was burning. My fire, Jensen, bought a tanker truck over and put the fire out. Cost me $1,200.
That's county protocol. That's the county fire department. We have a county organization. That's
Yeah.
protocol across all fire departments.
But I'm saying, why are they treating me different? I mean,
If it's the-
I'm over 65, I'm an easy mark.
No, I think it might have been more if it was, it might have been the 2 young firefighters that weren't aware of the rules or anything, but we'll, I have connections to, the Bass Lake Fire Department too. I know a few of the guys on there. I'll talk to them,
Yeah,
about policy, but, we also have a lot of other layers in the county where we control. I mean, that's a hazardous material then, when you burn something like that, it's pretty serious, like the fine could be.
but it's under control. You can burn.
No, it's not under control. Anytime you burn those kind of materials, your neighbors are breathing it, it's going into the water.
Yeah,
Even technically, the brush is supposed to be in a barrel with holes in a wire screen on top if you get right down to it.
Have a spark arrestor, yeah.
well, you
When
can
you get
burn.
down to it.
The way I understand, you can burn anything God made, there's branches, trees, anything else,
You can.
yeah. But if that's
So
the
somebody
case,
claims-
I can't even light a cigarette up on my property,
10 feet from the door.
huh? Yeah.
You know, that's a theory.
Because the cigarette ain't made by God, the tobacco ain't made by
Well,
God,
it is.
and if I light it up, Jensen can come over there and put the fire out.
They will every time,
Yeah,
that's just the way it
Yeah.
works.
well, here's what I need. I need some answers, because I'm a veteran, I'm in the VA, and I got a legal service there. And I called them, and what I'm gonna do if I can't get some break on, somebody's gonna pay that $1,200 I'm gonna have to ask for their legal services.
Yeah, that's okay.
The $1,200 is a fee from the folks you've been
And I
taking
know,
care
you know,
And home stuff down the way.
no, that
Transfer station
cost
probably.
$100 in the $610 in the fee.
Let me revise my question then. Is any part of that a fee that the county has charged you?
No, no,
Direct.
no, I got no problem with the county, with the plastic.
Now, if that's the case, there's not a whole lot we can do for you as far as reimbursement. If part of that were a fine from the county, we may, I say may, have the authority to waive a portion of that, but since none of it is a fine that the county put on you, we really can't provide you with any sort of reimbursement
Yeah.
or anything like that.
What it was, I either had to get rid of that demolition in 10 days or 5. You started out about 3 months ago. Or it'd be a $5,000 fine. So I had a choice of getting in my truck, buying insurance on it, and hauling 3 loads to Winnemac. And the 3 loads was $610.
It would have cost you more if we would have done it, because our planning commission, we would have hired somebody to clean it up. And you would have paid a lot more than that to have.
Were you part of this process at all?
Just when Jerry came into the meeting,
Yeah,
we listened to Jerry.
yeah. Whether,
Nothing really the county can do to
yeah,
help you out.
well, it was the planning commission's problem is that they're the ones that they was acting as prosecutors. And telling me what I can do and what I can't do and how I'm gonna get fined.
Yeah, they would have fined you. That's within their
Yeah.
authority.
Well,
That's what they do.
yeah. And then the North Judson, I mean, the Knox Fire Department come out there with the California Township Fire Department. They came out there on April 2nd. And anyhow, I went to the Bass Lake Fire Department and he told me they was never out there. Well, I talked to him, but he told me I could have burnt that in my backyard. Yeah,
You know who that was at Bass Lake?
huh?
Do you know who that was that told you that?
No, but it was the Knox Fire Department. I mean, the Knox Center Fire Department in the fire truck with the deputy sheriff come out there.
They come together?
Huh?
They come together?
No, they was there with when somebody called the fire department when I was burning, because I was burning the day before.
Yeah.
But I need some answers. And
The answer is the county's not gonna pay for that, unfortunately. We're not gonna be able to pay for that bill.
Yeah, but it's a planning commission's problem where they was acting as.
When I say we, I mean the planning commission.
Huh?
The planning commission is not gonna pay for that bill.
No,
The planning commission's under the county.
yeah, but under the planning commission, they was acting as prosecutors.
No, they were acting as enforcers.
Yeah,
That is
Their job.
their job to
Yeah.
enforce
well,
the ordinances we've passed.
but I didn't ask them for legal advice.
They didn't give you legal advice.
Oh, yeah, they told me every time I had the run, they said I'm gonna get fined. The letter's right here, 5,000, 3,000, 500. And then when I was burning, of course, it was a week of bad winds, then but most of the insulation blew out and blew over the neighbors. He says, now you're gonna have to pay for cleaning that up too, you know, well, that's neither here nor there. But the problem is, I need to get reimbursed on some of that.
Unfortunately, it was your property, so legally you have the responsibility of it, not the county. It's your property. So it's your,
Well, but they're telling me what the law is, and he was wrong.
no, they told you that you weren't allowed to burn it. You had to have it hauled off. That's what you did. You followed the law.
Yeah,
Or we could have cleaned it up and charged you 5,000 or whatever it was that the
Yeah.
planning commission threatened.
yeah. Yeah, but I can't get no answers here.
No.
No, you have the legal advice here. You've
Yeah.
got a room of people that are involved in
It's not even legal advice here, no.
Okay, then I'll pursue it with the VA then.
Okay.
Oh, and just tell the planning commission, thank you for your service.
Sorry, Gary.
Nope.
Nope, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yep, no problem.
Go on, Jerry. How you doing? I'm good. I'm good.
Do we have any meetings there in your file? I don't have a file. of anything that needs to be signed.
Minutes.
We have, the joint session from the 15th to 8th.
Oh, maybe they're all together. So
Well, let's see.
we'll just do a blanket motion.
Yeah, this is different.
You know, Dave, it's all gonna get there.
Probably just for you. The thing, I got signed for the territorial. Agreement between the owner and the engineer.
That's under the to be discussed part.
Oh, is
The
it?
stellar one.
Okay.
It's not, just a clarification, it's not.
Okay.
Oh, it's not stellar.
That's the one I read through and I didn't see. where it
Is this the one for
goes.
solar? Okay. It should say Hoosier, right?
I didn't see any part.
It's regarding. It's between the counties. It's,
But I mean, it's not regarding stellar though. Stellar, you're working with stellar, but that's separate. It's not,
That's
this
not
is
what
not
this is.
stellar,
Right.
right?
I'm looking through the house anyway.
Need a motion to set the payroll claim. 87,055.91.
so moved.
Second, all in favor?
All right. Oh, 20th.
Motion to set the commissioner's claims at 438, 245.88.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
All right.
This is for both boards. For the minutes of Monday, April 15th.
Make a motion to approve.
Second,
Have a motion from the council? A motion from Bruce and a second,
I'll second.
second from Kay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor on the council? Aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? All in favor from the council? This auditor.
Deputy.
Yeah, this deputy auditor.
No, it's just a signature. Right. This is just us. Make a motion to approve the minutes from May 6th.
second, in favor?
Aye.
So Sarah, the special meeting that I guess we're waiting on those minutes then.
May 10th. Was that was misstated?
No, that was right too, because we had a.
Yeah, that was a good meeting.
And then, May 10th, we had a special
yeah.
council meeting, yeah. I'm going to take that back over to the council.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing that we have under also to be discussed is, a review of the. County council. Resolution for the code of conduct, I emailed you guys one, well, I guess this one's not signed either, but this is the same one that I emailed you for your review. this discussion, in this particular case, is a continuation of a discussion that was started at the special meeting on May 10th. So in the last meeting that we had in the special meeting, we did have some folks that wanted to submit some evidence to the council. This is not any kind of a hearing or anything like that, but I did advise that if you wanted to gather something, if there's anybody that was involved in that, you could submit it now and we would take it under consideration for.
Letter of agreement.
Can you state your name and?
Yeah.
Information, so we have it on the record.
Yep. My name's Tiffany Belizak. I'm the co-owner of the pit stop along with my husband, Carl Belizak. He's in the corner back there. I don't know if you want me to read it or,
Yeah, why don't you present it to us, please, yeah.
You have one more copy. You have one more copy.
I can look up top.
Yeah, this one.
Okay, well done.
I do have another copy.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, like I said. My name's Tiffany Belizak. I'm the co-owner of the pit stop along with my husband. I've provided evidence showing current council member Cassandra Hines violating code of conduct that was set forth by the Starke County. The date of the violation on hand is 4/9/24. I've included copies of the evidence. Please accept this letter as my formal grievance against Cassandra Hines, Starke County Council member and the Starke County. I stated here what it states in the Starke County resolution, the code of conduct that was handed to me. I did state the definition there. It also says that council members shall conduct themselves ethically and shall avoid self-dealing, conflicts of interest, nepotism, or similar conduct that constitutes an ethics violation. Excuse me, I just need 1 second.
That's all right.
take your time.
Says the violation in question occurred on the Stand Up Starke County page. Stand Up Starke County, if you're not familiar, is a Facebook page created and operated by a citizen, Justin Reisner. On this page, anyone at any time is allowed to make comments on this page openly to promote transparency, as it was mentioned. These things are not only allowed, but also encouraged. Robert Shore had posted in distress that he was in need of a tow truck on 4/9, while another member of the page tagged Carl in hopes that we could provide the service to Mr. Shore. Cassandra Hine quickly states, "Do not use Carl Belizak. I've represented several people against him for some questionable practices he engages in." Not only is this a blatant lie, it is open slander against Carl as an individual and as a Starke County business owner. During the last council meeting, when I tried to address the damages she's caused to our business, she continues to lie, stating she's represented no less than 2 lawsuits against us for questionable practices. This statement fits the very definition of defamation because to date, Ms. Hines was the legal representation on 1 personal suit filed against Carl that was dismissed with prejudice, and I've included a copy. I'd like to point out that Ms. Hines clearly represents herself as Cassandra Hines, Stark County Council. On this page as well, you'll see the post she made under. There's no perceived distinction between the two pages on the Facebook page. To the public, you'd assume it was the same page. I feel Mrs. Hines is using her power as a council member inappropriately and to her advantage to steer customers away from our business. With this being said, I wanted to point out that the code of conduct also states these rules are intended to support public confidence in the council and the orderly management of the public business of the council, and therefore should be administered and interpreted in the spirit of fairness and openness characteristic of good governance. My question to the council would be, is this the example of supporting public confidence you'd like to be known for? Ms. Hines has now built that confidence with a 2,700 plus community members that have joined that Facebook page. Her direct statement has affected our business in Stark County as the fiscal body can be held liable. To put it in simple terms, if each member decided not to use us because of these untrue allegations that she posted, we could lose upwards of $500,000 based on the members of this Facebook group and the average cost of a tow. I'd like to also provide the definition of a defamation of character. Defamation of character is defined as any false statement made publicly that injures one's reputation because others believed it to be true. The party does not have to know it is false. They just have to express it as if it were true. Committing defamation of character can be punishable in the form of the defendant would be made to pay damages or financial compensation. I'm not here to decide what happens to Mrs. Hines. I'm here to defend my small business and any other small business or individual that she's targeting, because I'm well aware we're not the first. It's very difficult in today's society and economics to be successful without a representative of Stark County to be openly committing defamation against our business. This business supports my family and the families of our full-time employees that pay taxes. We give back to our community and try to volunteer our time whenever possible. We've donated over $5,000 this calendar year to local organizations such as Stark County Youth Club, the City Parks Department, Hope Restored Home, private individuals for illnesses or sponsorships, injured veterans, He for Hunger, our Redeemer Lutheran Church, Food Pantry, Stark County Youth Club, just to name a few. We want to see Stark County thrive and grow, and we're excited and proud to be able to give back. With that being said, we hope and pray that all the county council members hold their elected positions with the greatest honor and professionalism at all times. Please accept this as my final grievance, and if the above problem is not held to the standards outlined in the code of conduct, I will be forced to seek legal representation against Ms. Hines, Stark County Council Member.
Thanks.
Discussion?
Any discussion?
Maybe I think you got another one.
Oh, it's on.
Good afternoon. I'll introduce myself real quick
Sure.
and thank you, Miss, so much for that. Great setup.
Would
You don't even,
you give Sarah your name?
Eric Chesser. I'm Stark County native. I grew up in North Judson until I joined the Army in 2007. I served 8 years employed Iraq, Kuwait, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, as well as stationed in Texas, Washington State, New Jersey, Missouri, and California. I have a rack of distinguished medals for good conduct and valor in combat. I left service in 2015 and am now a disabled veteran. I've since become a union electrician and I'm part of the solar effort here in Stark County. The solar effort is what leads me here today. Like many, and to no fault, Cassandra Hines opposed the solar project that has targeted me, degrading, slandering, name calling, and attacking my character on the Stand Up Stark County page. Simply because I work in solar. I've never met her prior to this. As a lawyer, I would have expected a little bit more from her trying to slander me by posting my case records online, calling me a felon, which were all dismissed charges anyway, and misdemeanors. But as a council member of my county, I demand a little more. She has actually invited me here today. I quote, to visit a council meeting or come to her office, and she'd be happy to express her sentiments about my ignorance to my face. Well, I'm here, Councilwoman. I've accepted your offer. Please express here today what a regular Einstein I am. please express your sentiments about this ignorant out-of-county keyboard warrior. And then when I leave, make sure you tell everybody you love him when the trash takes itself out.
My lawyer.
You won't say it to my face.
I have legal representation.
Basically, I think at this point, what you're hearing are things that should not be being voiced at this point to this public forum. This is something that's more better expressed in a executive session. When this is dealt with, if you're talking about someone's misconduct, that's where it goes. It doesn't go for public perusal. But the other side of that is both the county commissioners and the county council need to understand that as of March 24th of this year, the Supreme Court of the United States entered an opinion based on a public employee's use of social media in their private lives. It sets out some very strict rules that require people to follow before the public official can be reprimanded, if you want to say. And anything that I've seen that Ms. Hine has done, and she did show me Mr. Chesser's post, the post she did, don't qualify under that current opinion. And that's the opinion of the Starke County, or the US Supreme Court, not of just Starke County.
Ma'am, so I'm not here to try to make her pay or anything like that. I'm not seeking anything like that. I'm here because I'm sure you saw, along with all the other screenshots, my invitation to come here today, so she could say to my face all the things that she said online. That's why I'm here, ma'am.
And I have legal representation, so she'll.
And she did not.
Well, I didn't hear anything other than what should be advice coming from our council. What's the actual response?
What would you
If
think?
there is any, instead of
Eric?
trying to instruct the rest of us on how to act.
No action or nothing on this.
I just came here because she said she would
I understand that.
tell me to my face.
I understand that. But we're not gonna act on it. tonight.
Her approach seems to
You
be,
guys can take that as a formal complaint, most definitely, but that's why I came.
Right.
The one thing about it is, because we have our own standard that we set, we do govern ourselves, and so there are actions that we can take. I believe Ms. Balasek, Mrs. Balasek had mentioned the resolution that we have. But as far as the governance of it, tonight, I don't know that we've allowed Ms. Hine the discovery that she, is afforded with this too. So we're taking this under consideration for right now, but I would say that we're not at the point where we're ready to take any actions at this moment on this, but we did ask for evidence to be brought. We appreciate you as well coming forward and bringing this to our
Did
attention.
you guys receive my emails? I had sent email with a screenshot.
Yes, I got that. Yep.
I have printed out here some, might just think about it.
Yeah,
I don't think.
this was just.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chester. So in consideration of that, Ms. Pease, we appreciate your feedback as well as counsel for Ms. Hine, but also, like I said, we govern ourselves and we have a document here that we accepted when we took our oath. Justin, would you like to?
I just like to rebut, I think you used the term inadvertently twice, evidence. I wouldn't say that's evidence. I would say it's public comment. Now, whether or not you can use it later, for three people here probably understand the difference between public comment and evidence. When you start talking about evidence, you start talking about, building the parameters of the process for a hearing, which is what they're suggesting the due process has to take place. So it's comment, it's not evidence that we are accepting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much framework you have because I don't want to bore everybody else in here besides the three of us with a lot of legal parameters. It's a very convoluted, complicated subject. There's questions that have to be asked. The case that Ms. Peace,
Yes.
Attorney Peace was citing, you know, I have read that Supreme Court case here just very recently. You know, there's, I think there's various tests that the US Supreme Court is set to determine whether or not a person's making a public comment in their official capacity or in their personal capacity. Me personally, I don't, other than what we just presented today, I can't tell you, hey, this does or does not comply, you know. When I'm hearing about this for the first time 7 days before, you know, what happens, and we haven't had the chance to talk about it, it makes it difficult for me to tell you whether or not it fits within the parameters of, you know, public, I guess, you know, preliminarily, I guess I would just have a couple questions. I'm not leading anybody to the answer here. I'm purely, I don't have Facebook, I don't have social media, so this is why I'm asking. What were the comments made on her personal from her first personal Facebook account? Does Cassie maintain a, maybe this is a question for her, does Cassie maintain a Cassandra Hine County Council member? Was it being made from, but you know, even they're still fairly broad. And again, I'm not arguing for or against anybody, because I mean, the question here today is, do we have a remedy here that we as the county council can partake in? You know, there were comments concerning defamation, you know, they're slander and libel. I won't even get into all that. You know, there's special classifications of slander, you know, in Indiana. You know, there's other recourse against somebody that makes comments that you can true or malicious and false. You know, you usually have to prove both. They can be pursued outside of this arena, but this arena is purely, was the person making those comments within the scope of her position as a county council member? I don't know the answer to that question. That's why I'm asking it.
My problem with it is, I'm Carl Belzak, I'm, you know, my problem with it is that as a business owner, you guys, the council, you know, or whatever you want to say, it's unacceptable. That would be like a police officer getting on there and bashing someone they just arrested. It shouldn't be accepted. Whether she brings her lawyer here to say this or that, what's right, right, what's wrong, is wrong. And when I'm wrong, I have to deal with it. All I'm saying is, if she has comments, sometimes you need to shut up. Wait a second. I mean,
Yeah,
that's it.
and I'm not condoning whether it's true or not true. I'm just saying these are the parameters we have to look at. Unfortunately, my job is preventative litigation, right? It's how do we prevent needless litigation? It's going to tie us up for years and cost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars legal fees if we can do it. So I don't have the answer to the question you guys want today. You know, is it an actionable offense, either in violation of our code of conduct, which I don't know if it's been codified properly first. I mean, there's a lot of questions here. Before we get to steps 1, 2, and 3, we have to look at preliminary steps A, B, and C. So I don't know, and I can't answer the question.
So what is the next steps? What is our next steps? What do we do with that?
So, well, I guess you've received a couple public comments here today alleging violations of an official, either an official duty or a codified duty.
More. I mean, I'm just asking.
Sure.
But we don't want to hear them public there, right? Is that what we were saying?
No, people can make whatever kind of comment they want at a public meeting. I think our next steps, and honestly, again, before today, I had no idea what was being discussed today. So before I make an ignorant comment that I'm gonna have to revise later, I'm gonna have to look into it, what the next steps are. But I'm assuming, this is just an assumption as with anything else when it comes to procedural due process, it's going to include, you know, potentially public hearings, a right to discovery, as Dave had alluded, you know, proper notice to all parties involved. I can figure out the answer to that question. Again, it's not me condoning anything that's been said. It's not even me saying that they're true or not true, but you know, my job is preventative litigation. I want to make sure that
Under the code of conduct, though, I mean, we basically have given ourselves, you know, some different options. Letter of warning or admonishment, public censure, removal or vacation of the seat. I think I agree with Ms. Pease. If we're gonna have discussions like that, then an executive session would be warranted. Personally, I'd like to recommend that we do that and we take it to an executive session first. I mean.
There's an executive session set for Thursday, but I am leaving.
Just for a different matter.
I was just making sure.
Yeah, no, I did mention. Yeah.
It was another.
Must be a commission. Oh,
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's ours. Yeah. Not new.
So, I mean, I think that would be the thing is coordinated. Yeah, coordinate a date for the executive session.
She's gonna be gone for basically 2 weeks from today, right?
But yeah, I'll be back. I'll leave Thursday. I'll be gone the whole week and then I'll come back.
Dave, I wonder if we should ask the command to keep getting supervisor hand.
Yeah.
Is there any other comments? I mean, that pertains to this, so
Yeah,
And see.
I think, yeah, we should hear that. We should know.
Well, Miss Ryan did the same thing to our business before I was candidate for commissioner. She posted, "We do not pay our bills." She knew that was very false. She named our business name online. And she commented she's representing a third party, which as far as I read, that's a breach of ethics in the Indiana code. She online posted that my son was stalking her. And putting midnight.
Do you have copies like this of
No, I
that?
don't,
Because right
but
now,
I
I
just
really,
asked,
I don't know if I should take it as here.
I think that was.
We're taking public comment.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Go, sorry.
She's, yeah.
Accusing my son of stalking her in the middle of the night. Which is ridiculous, you know, and she posted questions and comments about her family business, for which he's the bookkeeper. He did answer her in the middle of the day by private message, and it came on the trash Starke County, Starke County page that it was stalking in the middle of the night. And there are other examples, but I won't say anything about when I was county commissioner candidate, because I guess politicians and celebrities are open game for slander, lies. Speaking about a public accusations. concern is what it's called.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay, Tony, was there anything else?
Well, just, I mean, you remember back when I told you that the gentleman contact, and I told you you could talk. So it's not nothing new, that was back in January. I mean, I shouldn't say nothing new. I'm not trying to say it like that. I'm saying, you remember that, so.
I do remember that, yes.
And you talked to him, so I just need to I would relay that. And that's what I did.
He's not here though, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I have the comments as, I don't have them as evidence, but I do have more character. I don't know if evidence is probably the right word, but I have evidence for the comments that aren't relevant to me, but.
Are you, I mean, are they comments that you yourself have generated, or?
No, they're from Miss Cassandra Hines, negatively foul language.
But you weren't the target of those?
Correct, so that's why I did not bring them up.
Yeah. I don't think we need to dive any further into that at this meeting.
Tony, are you saying you want to go ahead with the executive session? Would you like to make a motion for that?
I mean, you're gonna ask me that. I'm sure these people that are upset.
Yeah, I'm saying as far as the council, though, I mean,
I think I think just like, you know, we have to protect everybody. We have to protect everybody.
Right, I'm not for that.
okay.
There is a site, because I always want to check to make sure it's eligible for an executive session. I think it would fit, it would fit 5-14-1.5-6.1. And it should be subsection B6. With respect to any individual over whom the governing body has jurisdiction to receive information concerning the individual's alleged misconduct. So again, it does fit if you do want to have an executive session. I'm gonna voice that for the public because sometimes they're not privy to the same open door laws as readily as what we are. So it does qualify if you want to do that.
I have the whole day of June 20th available.
Morning of June 20th,
What day is that?
or that's the afternoon or that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Yes, Thursday. So I'm by Zoom.
It's like a band-aid, just.
You're gonna be gone, Dave? You're gonna be.
I'm not sure. I need to look at the date. I think I'm leaving for China on the 20th. I haven't got my visa yet though, so.
Don't we have a schooling downstate too about that same?
21st.
That's on the 20th.
21st.
So tentatively, we'll have, what time works for everybody?
I'm open.
Morning,
Earlier the better.
earlier the better?
For me, I mean,
Nine?
just me.
30?
5:45,
Well, I mean, we got to,
No.
have the
5:45, they're on fast.
during business hours,
That is business always.
during Starke County business hours,
Well, then we gotta have a meeting to ask them.
8:30.
8:30, did you say?
Yeah.
Put that in here. You done that?
Yeah, I guess it puts back to you.
Chuck, Charlie.
We're here, I see that zip through is on the agenda, I'm assuming that's zip through Mark.
Yes.
I'm Chuck Eastock. Justin, I've never met you.
No,
Rachel, you changed, and Mark, I met you. I met you at a meet Canada night, way back.
Yeah.
I think I know the rest of these people. This is my Janice, we are co-owners of Mark. This is my daughter Charlie Marie, she manages, runs the business, my brother Mike. We are one small section of Eastock Corporation. So we're here to hear what you folks have for discussion as it is on the agenda. I do have material, if you'd like. Justin, you have the lease, don't you?
yes.
I know you do, yeah. I think you all got the lease. I tried to simplify this for you though.
Because they're simple.
Well, yeah, I thought I cut to the chase and get as simple as we can make this thing.
We do simple.
There's nothing simple. Yes.
No idea.
Okay.
I guess the number one question is, why are we on the agenda?
I think the biggest thing they was gonna raise the rent.
Well, let's start at the beginning. This was first brought to our attention. That there may be problems with this particular lease agreement in the county. When it, as it pertains to, and I'm gonna lean on Justin for the actual citation, but. In state statute, there are rules pertaining to. Financial agreements that the county enters into, and this. As it sits, may not conform to what we are required to do as far as. An open bid process, or just because it's been some time since we last discussed these, if you could maybe refresh. Our memory on.
Broadly speaking, I can't give you citations at tonight, but broadly speaking, when it comes to county-owned real estate or county-owned property, when it comes to purchasing, sale, lease, or otherwise, the county, any government unit, not just the county, any government unit, unless it's leased to a nonprofit organization, has to go through, in effect, an RFP process, right? You have to bid it out. You have to lease it in effect to the highest bidder within the parameters that you set for the lease of property. What complicates this is it was originally a lease of vacant land. There's been improvements to the ground. Zip through Mart was built on it, so there's some questions as to that end of things. And I have to be careful what I say to you, because your attorney I've been in contact with, so I can't really have an open discussion with you about it. But what the county commissioners had done was passed a motion. I think it was in the April meeting.
I think that's when we did finally get around to it.
Was to provide notice that following the current term, they're going to be soliciting RFPs for that property, request for proposals. So whether that takes the form of, what the lease price would be on a per month basis, or whether that would be the sale, which I don't think it's going to be a sale of the property. I think that they were discussing was what the bid price will be potentially for an annual or a per month kind of bid moving forward. So again, I can really have the conversation with you because you were and I was on vacation last week, so your attorney emailed me last week, but until today I had not had the chance to get back because I was out of the country. But in effect, that's kind of what it is. And
Let me say this. There's 14 jobs here that pay good, real good, not $8 an hour jobs. So unless you're in the business of destroying jobs in this county, you may want to look at it. Justin, are you certain that in 1967, the rules you're talking about were in effect? 57 years ago.
I am not. I don't know if those.
Okay.
Some years
And
since I was born.
That's the part
Is
that,
this a conversation you want to enter into?
If he's gonna ask me broadly speaking, that's
Okay.
okay, but I can't give you legal
Yeah.
advice.
I get it, Justin, and I understand that, but 57 years is a long time.
Sure.
When this lease was entered into, I'm certain there were differences in statutes. Will you assume that's a fair assumption?
I'm not the one that made the decision. You may want to talk to the commissioners.
Okay. What we cannot understand, this lease appears to be very clear cut. I mean, it may have been written by a first grader. We didn't write it. The county of Starke wrote it, county of Starke signed it. Bruce, I think you can allude, in 1967, it was probably some farm ground sold for $200, $300, $400, $500 an acre. Probably happened.
Yeah, 300 maybe.
In the United States of America, do we, as the person that sold that land in 1967, for let's say $300 an acre, do they have this right to go back and unwind the contract, which would have been a real estate agreement? Do we do that in this country? Do we go back and unwind that and say, wait a minute, that ground is now selling for $10,000? Or that person that sold it stuck?
If I may interrupt,
Okay,
that's a sale, not a lease.
okay. Anybody here ever bought a house? Maybe somebody has. Especially if you bought one 2 years ago, interest rates were 2.25%, 2.5%. Some banks signed a lease, or they signed an agreement, a loan contract, interest-bearing contract at 2.5%. Probably 3 years ago. Today, that bank is probably not real happy with 2.5% when the going rate is 7.5%. Does that bank get to go backwards on this agreement? That you are bound and guaranteed to pay payments for 30 years based on 2.5%. Doesn't work that way.
The bank is not a unit of government. It's the difference.
We're talking about 1967.
We're talking about a unit of government and how we're affected by state law.
In 67, units of government sold property that probably was not in the best interest of government in that time zone compared to this time zone. You're trying to compare a lease that you think was constructed 3 years ago. It was constructed 57 years ago.
Oh, we're trying to determine if this lease is still legal according to state law. That's what we're trying to.
Well, then I think 1967 law would have to be applied, would it not?
Well,
For
that's-
assumption?
We're gonna,
I mean,
this is gonna be a nice, long, drawn out.
Okay.
legal.
From a layman's term,
I'd
would you think that the rule of law from 67, when the lease was construction, would be applied in this case?
Well, I'd like to interject something else. So when your mom and dad did this program, in order for us to keep the airport where it was, we needed a fire station, a hospital, and a restaurant.
Nope, didn't need the restaurant,
We didn't?
did not need the restaurant.
Okay.
Now, the restaurant from about Frank Neely, you remember the name, I know you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's the one that entered into the lease, which the county just copied, or they didn't copy and paste, but they copied that same lease that was originally constructed in 1962. There was not a need for a restaurant, that was not part of.
Okay, I thought I read that somewhere back in my involvement, but.
Nope, they leased that to Frank Neely, was the name. He built the building. He passed away. My parents bought it in 1967.
Okay, I didn't realize it was there in 62.
60, I think it was built in 61.
Okay.
And he leased that ground prior to building that building.
Yeah, as far as the question you asked me, I would know that we would need to follow those rules if they're still applicable. But I don't know if they are or they aren't.
Bruce, would it be, Bruce, I mean, you guys all have to agree. I don't know if you have to follow rules of 67, it makes common sense. Back to the person that bought the house 3 years ago. You're gonna go by them rules, it was 2.5%. You can't use today's rules, can you?
No.
Okay.
Okay, at least.
Dave, now we have talked.
We have talked about it, yeah. We have talked about this, and I have to say that I think it's more based on the fact that it's a county-owned asset, taxpayer-owned asset. And it should be, at least for fair market value, I think it's kind of out of our hands is what we felt, right? I mean.
Yeah. We know, we talked at length that this was going to be something that was a conflict between the people, the gentleman sitting here in county government, so. We just have to be careful what we talk about and what we don't, especially in open session. I certainly understand your side of things. You made significant improvements on the site, and I wouldn't be happy either if you know. If I were in your position,
Just what I'm saying is. What if the county would have sold that parcel in 67?
It didn't.
Where we're standing in a domain. But they entered into a lease that was a terrible lease for the county of Starke.
it
It was
was.
a great lease for these stuff.
Yeah, there's nobody that keeps the same rent for 57 years
They did it.
in the
We
history of the
didn't.
world.
They did.
Well,
Yeah.
but
Starke
actually,
County did.
the lease though is a 1 year, it turned into a 1 year lease.
Now, did you read the rest of that?
Some of the semantics, it's poor English here. I could argue
Poor
that.
English.
Honestly, I could argue that. It reads like it's a 1 year lease and, you know, we have the option to cancel the lease
It
technically.
looks to me like, right on the front page, it says, this lease shall renew this lease, basically if the payments are made on time.
By your interpretation, that just doesn't even make sense with the
Right.
use of the English
Right.
language there. Well, I
The
mean,
government, and they signed it.
This, are you talking about where it says?
No, go back to the front page. Go back to the front page.
Says lease shall be for a period of 5 years unless you're hereby grants, lessee the right and option to renew and extend
Right.
this lease. Each extension being for a separate 1 year period.
it says right there that the lesser grants that. You know what I mean? Like. We are the lesser.
Right.
Sorry, I know.
No, I
So that's the crux of the issue is for the next 1 year period. I think we are at the point we believe we have to follow what's now in state statute as far as the bid process to lease out or the process enumerated in state law to lease out a piece of publicly owned property.
That would be my position.
Justin, don't
If
you-
the lease, hold on a second. If the lease is renewable on 1 year renewable terms.
Yeah.
And we continue to go from one term to the next, a year term, and we don't renew it. Or we don't go through that bid process required by lease of public real estate, then it's.
Then we are in violation of state law.
That's what the State Board of Accounts has told me as well. I mean,
Okay.
So, Justin, can I ask you? The State Board of Accounts is going to discount the terms of this lease shall renew this lease.
no, they don't care about the terms of a lease. They care whether or not the government's complying with Indiana code. What they're gonna say is, hey, you may get sued by the person who made the improvements, but our position is you can't be leasing it out for under. So we had to take appraisals of the property. We had to go through a whole procedure. So the State Board of Accounts doesn't care if you sue us. They're gonna say, hey, that's your guys' fault. What they care about is if we're complying. They don't care what it's gonna cost us. That's why we know it's gonna.
Do you think, Justin, in your opinion, because I've dealt with the State Board of Accounts many times. Sat on this board for quite a few years. Do you think they really looked into the law of 1967?
I think they care.
Everybody says they did, but they could. I don't think so. Don't you think, Justin, we run into estoppel and latches doctrines?
I don't know. I don't know. Again, you're asking me questions that I have to have a discussion with your attorney about now. It puts me in an unenviable position. Again, I'm not the one that made the decision. I'm just the one that has to enforce it. So.
I get it.
I don't know. I'd say between their Chuck lawyer and Justin.
I think it's pretty clear. If it's a 1 year renewal, as it states here, the next time we do the renewal, which I think is another thing that needs to be investigated as far as what the date of the renewal is gonna be. But we have.
I would just remind the
I don't know
council
about
that
model
the
vehicles,
lease does have a paragraph. Number 2A, or I'm sorry, 2, that says that the Starke County Aviation Commissioners reserve the right to cancel the lease upon 30 days notice under one or more of the following conditions. And section B there possibly covers this situation where state or federal laws of regulation or state or federal laws or regulations. It looks like it's alluding to them possibly changing so that we have to remain in compliance that even as the law changes.
If an illegal act is committed,
I don't know about, I don't know that we want to cancel it. But what we want to do is conform to the law and make sure he has an opportunity to rebid it when we put out the process that would conform to the state law. It's not that we want to shut you down, we just want to comply with state law.
Yeah, and when I.
I'm not particularly interested in taking from you.
things, the Board of Accounts, maybe just the law 1967. I just don't.
And
It's a terrible
and
deal.
in some cases, some newer laws do supersede older laws. I mean, that's. Well, we don't have slavery no more.
Making it 18 still.
Oh,
Yeah, I do have a couple questions. Go ahead. Right now. This issue. Is this only right now in the commissioner's hands and it does not involve the council at this point, or is it in your hands at this point? I guess I'm asking what, how do you believe is it the commissioner or the council right now got jurisdiction over this decision?
Commissioner.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want, well, here's my question, because I'm very.
Yeah, I know, Judge.
Would you here's my please? Here, my question is this, because I'm very hesitant to comment if it's not in this council's view right now. If I don't have the authority to speak, I'm certainly not going to speak. I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be one. I never want to be one. But I do want to make a point. I think what needs to be as a councilman, that's why it's not in our hands right now. It's in your hands. This document right here, and I've seen it before, I think should be determined. And it very well could be settled law. If it was settled law in 1957, 1967, if it's settled law, it's settled law. That I do not know. And that's what I don't know any comments on that, whether it is or not my personal opinion, that if it's not as a council member, if it's not in our hands right now, I'm a little reluctant to comment on it. But this could possibly be settled law. If it's settled law, it's settled law, and that needs to be determined.
And that's something, we'll go through the process to figure out. I mean, that's why we made the motion in April to get you to work towards an actual answer for us. I know, sounds like since then there's been a complication with Mr. Eastup's lawyer asserting something. We haven't gotten to that yet, but I'm sure we will in time, not this evening. And then, so the question in front of us, the next thing we need an answer to is, does what the State Board of Accounts want, the action that the SBA is pushing us towards conflict with this, and which does one supersede the other? And until we have that answer, we're kind of in limbo.
That's what I say, we can't do it tonight, it'll be up to their lawyer and just. It's under the commission.
That's a separate thing entirely. I mean, it might inform our final decision.
Right.
But our decision is ultimately, do we honor this forever and ever and ever? Or do we put it up for bid as State Board of Accounts is telling us to? And part of that process will be their interaction and come back to us hopefully before August. So we can make a decision on our next course of action. Or I said, hopefully before August, actually, hopefully before the next time this lease is up for its 1 year review, which is another thing that has to be determined.
Something I've been advocating to, not advocating, but suggesting that you explore, and it was before this property came up, at the top of the conversation was the county, establishing a redevelopment commission. And I'll tell you why that is, because the redevelopment commission, in the exercise of its authority to lease and sell property, has a lot more leeway than what the commissioners do. I was involved in the sale of 40 miles of railroad over in North Judson when they did that. You know, our first thing the town of North Judson did was form a redevelopment commission and assign the property to them, because the town didn't just want the highest bid to win. They wanted the highest and best person who bid on it to win it, you know, and, you know, I've advocated for the county to do that, not just for this property, but for other properties as well, because, you know, it may be the case here too. I don't know the situation. You know, maybe the case where the highest bidder is not the best person as a partner with the county that you want in there, you know, so, I mean, but the downside is a redevelopment commission is another board, it's another exercise of authority, you know, and you're giving them some power. So I mean, that's something I've talked about before, you know, because if you guys are gonna bid out property subject to lease, you know, you're kind of constrained to the highest value on property. If you have a redevelopment commission, which again is something I suggested, you know, you can assign property to them and say, hey, solicit bids, but also take into consideration not just the highest bid, but what's the best use of the property. Have the ESOP been doing a good job for 57 years? Do they employ 8 people? Have they made $400,000 worth of improvements? So, I mean, these are all topics of discussion that you guys can look into, or you can just go through the RFP process as your last motion in April which was provide notice of termination so it complies, and start the process for an RFP. Just giving you the options. I'm not going to say which one you should do, but
Want to speak as president of Starke Court. You know, I mean, my parents have owned it for 50 years. Is there something about what we're missing that the commissioner or the council has seen to bring this up, that they want part of this? I mean, this is not our first rodeo. That's
Right.
sure.
I'm trying to remember if this was just someone's concern that we're not getting the fair market value for the lease, or if
Cassandra Hines said,
or if it's-
she was Cassandra in your meeting, because I watched the meeting, that you had.
One more moment.
Taxpayers coming to you, wondering why the lease was.
Hey, bud.
I did.
Now I've lost my train of thought.
No, because
Was this initiated by concern about the market rate, or was this initiated by the State Board of Accounts contacting us about us not following the procedures they say we should be following?
I think the question was also posed about the hospital lease too. I think there were a couple leases, so it was this and the hospital lease.
And that came from the State Board of Accounts?
No, I think it originated with one-year boards. I can't remember where it did originate with one-year boards.
There
And then we
was
can-
previous discussion about the hospital's concern about having a smoke shop on the same property as the hospital.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the things we heard from the.
That was brought up and I commented on that. I commented, well, smoke shop might sell cigarettes, but right across the street, you can go to CVS and buy a bottle of whiskey. I remember making that comment.
No, I can tell you 100% certainty it did not originate with the State Board of Accounts.
Okay.
That was an element brought into it after we started researching.
What do you want to do next, Donnie?
Don't know what Justin.
Continue on with the RFP process?
Yep. And then tell us what the best thought for us.
So our motion that was passed at the previous meeting will stand, and we'll move forward based on that. I'm good.
Good.
You got that look in your eye?
No, I'm just, we're very preliminary, right? We put together an RFP package. We're gonna have to consider some of the things they're mentioning.
Oh, that'll be an even longer process. I know.
Real only fair that way, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's more than just price you're looking at.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So then the answer to my question was, it wasn't brought up by the State Board of Accounts, it was brought up by one of the board members.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense.
Got anything else, Chuck?
Who was your taxpayers that brought this up, Cassandra?
I'd have to look. It was,
They were.
it might have been, it might have been Justin Reiser, it might have been Sam Whitenack. I'm not, I don't remember. And even if I did have taxpayers bring it up, but even not, it is an area of public concern that I think the county needed to look at.
because we have a duty to taxpayers to maximize the rent money coming in, and I think the state board of accounts agrees with that.
Jan? Charlie? Mike?
Next.
Well, with that. Pardon me?
We knew it all
Who we got? Still agreement.
Oh, well, this is just, this isn't for Stellar, it's for. Right. For the work, yes, about the work for plan commission, we get. We expect to receive more building permits for solar projects.
Bob?
Is that anything to do with the council? So this has come up before. That's a bad thing about having a joint meeting.
Really? You guys were talking amongst yourselves.
On this either, do we, Stellar? That's a commissioner.
It's not Stellar. It's not.
Just on call, but we have
Okay,
nothing.
I'm sorry. That's what it had on the agenda. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have nothing to do with the council.
I just wanted to make sure you guys didn't have any other business to discuss before we.
So I guess, I don't know who it concerns, whether it concerns the commissioners or the council, because the council is the one who passed the ordinance. For the fund that received the solar expense funds, is that correct? So.
It's a contract, so it'll come over here.
So it comes over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so once that's done. So. I submitted just my short form of my EJCEC contract for general and all services. Typically, when I work for a municipality, like I work for Bass Lake, I submit that proposal. And it's just for on-call general services, so, and it's based on a task order. So I submit my contract and my current rates per hour attached to that. And then there's basically a blank task order on the back of that. So if you as a commissioner want to hire me to oversee a solar review or look at a bridge or do whatever I'm capable of doing for the county, we can identify that in the task order. And then our rates are based on my rates submitted. So that's how I wanted to approach these solar things from the beginning. So I think you accommodated that with your ordinance. So I think we're at the point where I'm submitting you a contract for services based on a task order. Put the first task order in there just to say what I would be doing for the plan commission. I'll be working for basically the plan commission or the county. I'd be reviewing plan specifications and other documents for conformance to Starke County Solar Ordinance 2022-017. A written review shall be submitted to the Starke County Plan Commission. So what that means is I'll go whatever solar company submits, they have to submit whatever is required under that ordinance. I review that for conformance to that ordinance, and then my review goes directly to the county because I'm working for the county.
Right.
And then I assume the plan commission makes the decision of whether they're going to allow them to proceed with their permit for their application. So that's how I presented it in the past, it worked that way, and that's how I'm presenting it now. So there is a typo in what I gave Rachel's that I gave, originally, but you don't necessarily have to sign it tonight, but I would say if you want me to work for the plan commission, that's the way territorial engineering wants to handle that contract. Okay. And anything you want out of it.
And so I can add to that, if you remember Don, like, if we were on the council, in these days, the push was the council just wanted to see that. However, it's written, because it was a little different before, but the solar companies paid for the engineering, we didn't.
Right.
So
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that was, and I remember you felt a little uncomfortable because you were representing us, and so that was the one thing where the council gave opinion on, where as far as the women involved. This personal history.
Any motion to approve the agreement for professional services from territorial engineering?
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
One, do the task order, the second thing.
Where's the task order? Oh, there it is. It's not in my packet. We need to signatures on two copies.
What do you need going on that involved?
So.
Oh, we need to send you a copy.
Yeah, okay. You guys can sign it on.
Just be good. That was this.
Further one. There's some baby and ones inside. You can remember what that did.
This one they have on there, going to sign this.
What's that?
I said they have it on.
Oh, they have.
Rachel was there, I'm not sure who.
We'll sign that one and we'll sign this one too. Just gotta make sure we had it covered. And I'd like the motion to approve the task order one as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, you can get it from the office and all.
Yep, appreciate it.
It's supposed to stay like 190 now.
Yeah, if you want to come up. Stark County.
No,
No.
I didn't even know I was supposed to be here.
Oh, yeah.
I'll do my best. I think
Oh.
we're on.
Okay, that's how it's coming.
Talk about the lead track, yeah, but I still need to review that and see if I need to go out and look at it.
Well, there's,
Figure it out.
You looked at it?
Mhm.
I was gonna drive over there.
I did.
it's, you know what? Yeah. I do some more for. Give this the whole packet and if there needs to be more done, we'll catch it with Rachel next week.
Okay.
Because we've approved it, so.
Right.
Signatures later.
Here, just one question, you want to know what
I
we
didn't
decided?
I didn't know I was on the comment.
I didn't even know either.
So
Right?
here I am. I don't know, but we were waiting on an answer and I emailed
Yes.
you on what you guys decided after our meeting.
I think that was the main thing is, you know, the foundation is just kind of, you know, waiting for thoughts and, you know, like in the interview process. There's, you know, reluctance to move forward.
Right.
If, you know, the county is weighing our options of either continuing with the current contract or starting our own
Right.
economic development foundation or some hybrid in between. I don't know, but I mean, there have been some different things tossed around. We sit on the board, okay, and, we have gotten a couple more candidates recently.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, just recently, like just like last week. And which seemed to have more potential in the past.
Yeah, we're gonna move forward.
Yeah,
We're moving forward.
and so I guess, you know, the question would be, at least in my mind, I think just as one of the representatives of our boards, you know, just, you know, do we consider still seeing where we can go, you know, we still have a lease to honor through the year. Do we see if, you know, if there's an opportunity to, kind of gain some horsepower?
Right. I would be good with that, I mean, especially if they hired, you know, someone in there. And yeah, let them still take care of it for now, in my opinion.
The contract remains in place until the contract expires. So that gives us, that's our time frame to determine.
Yeah.
What we're going to do.
Unless you give notice, but yes.
Right.
Because
But really,
what have we got for our money in the last 5 months? There's been no director. At all,
Well,
and we're still paying the contract. There's nobody there every,
Here, yeah.
there's nobody there every day. All day.
Maybe not every day, but most
Okay.
days, most every day. I get every email and phone call that comes to me there. And so I've been very involved. So there
I mean,
has been,
I would be in favor of supporting maybe a longer contract in a person if we maybe got some reimbursement back for the money for this year. That has not been, the contract's not been fulfilled in my eyes.
not sticking up for Janet, but I mean, the 5 months is they're waiting on us to, you know what I mean?
Well, not the whole 5 months, I mean, 5 months is a long time.
Yeah.
So they were told their funding would be full if that person was hired, they could have hired that person immediately.
No. I don't, that's my feeling spot. That's, I'm only one person. But I think right now. Taxpayers' money is not being well spent. And I seriously mean that. If there was a director in there, maybe not. But there is,
But we're
but
trying to
there
move
is no.
forward, so we're waiting on you guys to decide if you're gonna renew our contract, but we're gonna move forward.
Well, you have to move forward because
We are.
if you're gonna wait on us and never hire anybody, there is gonna be no contract to renew.
Right.
I mean, plain and simple. I
Absolutely.
mean, plain and simple, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not speaking for anybody else, I'm speaking for me. And
But we also gotta give them the opportunity to hire the right candidate that fits the
Okay.
position too, right?
what do? We give them a year?
But we have some, I'm not gonna speak for my executive board, but we're moving forward.
Okay,
We are moving forward.
it's just like, I mean, I don't see any movement forward. I don't, that's just me,
Right. And hopefully the new person they hired moves us forward.
hopefully.
And I mean, you prove that to us, then we could, you know,
We're doing our
you
best.
got the whole year like you're saying, so
Well, we got till the end of this year, then our contract
it's up
is
there.
up.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, 'cause it's-
Contract renews in March, correct?
I think
no,
so,
off the top of my head, honestly.
I think that's when,
I'm
I
thinking
think
it.
that's when it was.
Yeah.
It was 2 years last time.
Lisa,
Yes.
Lisa Dan has her hand up. She probably has the answer to that.
Right,
Who does?
I don't know if you
Lisa's
can,
on.
Yeah.
you can unmute yourself. or
Gonna
what.
say, does she have- Yeah, does she?
I didn't know that.
Does she have the ability to unmute herself on this?
Yeah, she's muted.
You gotta unmute, Lisa.
there she is.
She might not be able to.
She might have to
Has
get
to ask John.
Oh, there,
What's in the chat? County hasn't paid.
Yeah, Mary was there.
right, she wasn't the director, there was no director since first of the year, that's all I said, I didn't say anybody was not there, there was no director since the first of the year, am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong,
January 5th.
okay. Off by 5 days, sorry.
Hey, you're on the board. Did you have anything you want to add?
I'm just trying, I'm in agreement with Todd. But you're on our board, so you need to try to support us a little bit.
I have, I've sent people
Okay,
there
then
and,
we need to
and
be
they were
that.
told that that might not be, so he rescinded.
First of all, we need to support the taxpayers more than that board. I mean, that's who we answer to.
Yeah.
She doesn't answer your board, none of us answer your
Yeah.
board, we answer the people here, plain and simple,
Have to, yeah.
Absolutely.
plain and simple.
I agree with that.
I mean, so then she said, you shouldn't say she supports the board,
She-
because that's not the way this works.
Well, supporting the organization, not board.
I think I have supported it. I tried to help Stark Tank and we didn't get any help from the other board members. You asked the chamber to help and they said they weren't going to help, so it was like, what do we do? Didn't get not one person off the board to step up to help. Not one.
That's right.
Well, I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in. I haven't seen a lot of activity out there. I haven't seen a lot of yardage
Movement.
gained. But my problem is this. So if we feel that we're spending $70,000 a year unwisely there, how much do we have to spend as a county? And what's to say that we as a county would be any more successful than they are? So my position is this. If we decide that we no longer want to fund the foundation, majority rules. But I am not in favor of making the county government any bigger than it already is. I've said my piece.
Lisa, can you,
Agree.
did you find a way to unmute?
I think can you hear me now?
Barely.
Can you boost your input volume?
Sure.
Oh, wait, no, we need to boost our volume.
Can you hear me now?
The little tiny, it's a little tiny icon next to the clock.
Okay. Me or you guys?
That's probably too much.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I think we got it.
Okay. All right. And I understand Todd's point of view. There has not been an official director in that office since I left January 8th. I understand that, but business continued after I left. And Mary was in a very good position to keep business moving while it was the decision of the elected officials not to hire Mary or whomever, our board, however that worked out, while it was the choice of folks to not hire Mary to continue in my place. That's fine, not a big deal. But business continued until Mary left that office in April or whenever she left. I don't even know when she left.
First of all, there's not one board member, commissioners or counselor to hire anybody to do with the Economic Development Foundation. It is not up to us to hire. That is the board's decision, not ours. You said we hire.
No, no, I said there
What
were.
she's referring to,
I don't care. That's
what she's referring to, no, I'm gonna put this out. What she's referring to is my statement as a member of their executive board, saying that I did not want to promote Mary up into potential failure as the executive director of that.
Well, thank you.
That's where that
Yes,
is.
that's exactly where that came from. Yes, there were folks on our board who were not favorable to Mary being hired as the director. But with that being said, business still continued as usual through her until she resigned her position there. That's all I had to say.
So as far as a discussion on whether or not the contract is being fulfilled.
Oh, yes. So nothing has been, nothing has been
the-
paid in 24 to date.
Lead track.
The lead track, the power bill for the firewall still gets paid every month on our behalf. The lead track fees are still being collected on our behalf.
And who's taking care of the lead tracks? Dave.
No, Dave and I are,
That's in their capacity as members of.
that's being 100% taken care of. Those bills are.
That's right. It's the fact that he has.
Years are being paid. I know it's being paid. So but I'm saying there's nothing else going on. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Show me what they've done.
And that's not necessarily different than the last 20 years that we continued to renew the contract.
So we're gonna talk about Cisco?
No,
Me either.
that's dead and over with. But as far as when we get into the weeds on accusing someone of not meeting a contract, given how that contract's written.
Yeah, it is very loose.
It's a very dangerous thing to say that they're not meeting the
Well,
contract.
then I think if there is another contract, it needs to be rewritten in way more different terms than what it is. To protect everybody.
I agree.
We can do that before next.
Yeah.
She got till March.
I
There
mean,
you go.
you know, like. This is really gonna be hard for some of you to believe, and I'm gonna say that anyways. This really isn't, it's not about money to me. I think the person in that position, they probably ought to make 80, 90, $100,000. I really believe that. If they do that, that's not even a lot of money now. If they do the job they're supposed to do and they can fulfill everything they're fulfill, it's not about money. It's about money at the low end with nothing happening with that money, opposed to money we're paying out and we're seeing a return on that money. Now, I don't see any return on the money. I don't know, that's just me. I'm just one person, I'm not a financial expert, I never went to college, I'm just a layman. I've tried, boy, that, the last thing they wanted was me on that board,
I know.
because I asked too many questions, and I raised too much hell.
And that's a decision for
Yeah.
council to make the next time.
Well, and I think everybody likes being on the board, and that's fine, I don't want to be on the board. But I have a right to voice my opinion as I feel the constituents say. I mean, I've heard it from people, don't tell me you haven't. And we all have.
Dave, you're on the board, executive board.
Yeah, I get a lot of feedback from people. I mean, there is dissatisfaction. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to get on the board this time, and because I avoided it. I was on a lot of other boards and I felt like it was time to take my turn too. But I will say that people do question leadership of the board.
Yes.
You know, and then, you know, Dave's great, but you know, Dave not living in the county, like I get that. I get the.
Well, that's, I mean,
things
that's
like
not
that.
the whole, there's not a whole lot that can be done about that particular board position
I'm saying
because
sitting
he's a
in the-
representative member.
Right,
Right.
I'm just saying,
By one of the,
I'm saying, but just being the vice president, you know, of the board, like, you know, it's not even somebody from Starke County, which is not my control, I can, you know, it's.
this,
an
yes,
nomination with
their
the vote, but-
bylaws, and
Yeah,
I didn't know if that was one of those recommendations that everybody be from Starke County, was it, in that consultants?
no.
No, there wasn't, okay.
So, a few years ago, you guys did some research and there were some suggestions made. And none of them, to my knowledge, has ever been acted on. Matter of fact, the bylaws have not been amended. And
Yes, they have.
They have,
Oh, yes, they have.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, several times over.
Every year
why
they're
was
reviewed.
not term
Every year.
limits? Why was not term limits and these other things presented
That
for those
wasn't,
changes?
that wasn't one of
They
the,
were.
because that was one of the things.
That certainly was.
Yeah.
Here, and here's the fun divide between when that was done and when I came into office, because that was one of the first things I took on was renegotiating the contract, because I was very hopeful that we could actually make the foundation worth something.
I agree.
But
Gosh, you guys act like we're horrible.
We thought.
What was being pushed as far as what we wanted in the next contract. Term limits weren't mentioned to me as something I should fight for. The key was limiting the size of the board, and that was the first action item I took on.
What changes have been made? Let me just ask that. What changes have been made to the bylaws?
It wasn't a recommendation, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Filtered down to me when I was taking action.
A lot of
Oh, I
different
didn't find it,
verbiages,
yeah.
the skill.
Because I know the skill board.
That's difficult to nail down, Bruce, because it's. The revisions have been made every year for the last 3 years. And without having them in front of me, I can't regurgitate.
Well, I see stagnation. That's why I bring up.
Right.
Term stagnation and I think these boards. Because I think Janice is right. I think when we are on those boards, that we should be out there cheerleading. Trying to make it successful, but what I see is there's too much personal and antagonistic stuff going on. That there's just too much personal resentments when things are brought up,
Right here.
and that comes with thinking that you are the owner. And so if you are moving people in and out of that board, like Dave said, he wanted to be on it. As you're moving people in there, I would think you'd keep the water pretty fresh, but from my point of view, it's stagnant.
We do move people through though, don't we? When we have something on there now, we move new bankers, we do.
And I think there's been people on there a long time.
Yeah. I'm really not tired of it.
Just saying.
I take a lot of scrutiny for being a volunteer here and I'm, we're all
You
volunteers.
asked for Dave to be on the board, and none of the others.
I didn't have a
Yes, you did. I seen your letter.
Saw the letter.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah, we
so
did write letters, yeah.
you did.
We did.
Rather than let the board, rather than let the council as a whole determine that. You directed to this council that you wanted Dave. I think that is, I think that's out of bounds, okay? That comes from Wednesday.
It's no different than any of the other boards that when they submit letters of recommendation. I mean, it's a recommendation and it's ultimately up to you to decide who's your representative on this and all the other boards. But I want to get down to what our next steps are. We're gonna direct them, let them operate for the rest of the year.
Can't stop.
And then after the first of the year.
Before the first of the year, we need to give an answer.
Yeah.
We can't wait till last minute.
Okay, so what answer are we wanting to give them? How long do we want to sit and wait to see what they do? A quarter?
Well, if we get, thrown in and get hired,
I'd say 6 months.
After they hire a new executive director. Well, that puts us at the end of the year.
The council.
Yeah, no, it is. We're the ones who approve the contract with the money.
Comments.
Well, you approve the appropriation.
Yeah, which we don't have to prove it. If we told not to.
Right.
And actually, in the recommendations, it does say in here, no board member served more than 3 years consecutively.
Okay.
That was one of the recommendations.
3-year terms.
Yep, 3-year terms. No more than 2 consecutive. And so you can't serve a term after having a term off. I think you did decrease the size of the board, right?
We did do that.
Yeah, so there is.
Howard, did you have something?
I'm done.
Yeah.
Said enough.
Listening to people talk, we're asking them, and in fairness, before their contract's renewed, to see what they do. We're saying to see what they do, to see what happens. We as a board, especially you guys sitting on the board, I think it would be fair to give them a list of expectations. So their new director and them on the board know what to expect or what they can work at to meet the satisfaction of you board members that are representing us on the council. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, the people,
You know what I'm saying?
not us as county council members, but the board.
No, you guys, county council members, that's what we're gonna satisfy your demands, so you can choose whether or not.
Well, I guess my question, when you say, to see what they do, well, I guess let's provide them what we want them to do. And that way they know what you guys are speaking for us, for what we're.
So you're saying we should write their job description?
No, but when you said to see what they do. That ain't what I meant at all.
Okay.
The job description, I think he's talking.
I know what he's saying, just trying to get it all.
You be on the board and Kay, that way we kind of know where you feel they're going down the wrong path. Okay, I mean, to see what they do. I know you probably both have expectations of what you'd like to see to change your opinions, right? There's something they can do to change your minds or change your opinion. Share that with them. And that way, then when you say to see what they can do, then you know whether they're doing, and they know what you expect of them.
I guess it's like, I agree with you, Howard. But the only other thing I look at it, do you hire somebody to do something, and then if they don't do what they're supposed to do in that time frame, do you just keep them? No, of course not.
No, but
Of course not.
I do think that the term limits is a must.
Oh, I say the term limits is a must.
We're not operating really very good economic times for a lot of great big changes. And I'm not speaking in favor of them. I'm being neutral. But we're not in a real good economic situation in this country to just.
I think one thing that we said when we had the original meeting, then we had our other meeting, I don't want to step out of turn on an executive session, but we had stated that we would meet with them again. Right?
Yeah, and we have.
And we haven't. And I know you, Don, said that we should. Regardless. And I agree with you. I mean, whatever the limits are that we can talk, Justin.
Right.
Their contract was from 2 years, for 2 years. Right?
That one was.
So we went from March 7th last year to March 7th this year. And we'll be good till March 7th next year. We're gonna have to make decisions before
It
budget,
expires
so we can
2025.
put that into the budget, aren't we? Or do you just budget enough till March?
We'd have to have a budget.
Right. It's a budget thing, that's why we've been.
Well, the payment is in this year, the 2024 budget.
So it's already budgeted.
So, yeah, so you'll have to decide when the contract.
Read Lisa's comments up there, people.
Oh, that's too.
I can't see him.
I can't.
Actually, read that.
We have car
It
wash
should
coming
see
in.
what we've done.
But
The still, that's yet to be seen.
well,
Well, it is being seen, it's happening.
regardless, I mean, what we're getting at is. It was mentioned about the budgeting process. It is separate from the contracting process.
Right.
Our current contract is funded through the end of the contract. The last payment will be made by the end of this year. And then we'll spend 3 months, probably a month and a half preferably because of the approval process.
Right.
Negotiating the next contract.
So that is for 1 year, so March 7th to March 7th is
Right.
right. So how do you budget for next year? If the payment has been made to get us till next March 7th. Then we need to budget.
It's still a contract that was entered into in.
It was paid
The
for.
fiscal year
It was-
prior.
Yeah, it was paid for in 24,
Yeah.
but it went on
The
to.
bill comes due before the contract expired.
Yeah.
So the decision you'll have to make is.
So you have a contract. From March 7th to March 7th, but as long as you make a payment before March 7th or before the end of the year, they're funded for another 9 months that they're on contract.
No.
No.
It ends in
The next, when you do your budget stuff in March. Or May or June. It's been a long meeting.
Yeah.
You'll decide. Whether or not to appropriate any money to a contract with. Economic Development Foundation, and then we'll decide whether or not to enter into a contract.
It was a 3-year contract originally.
It was proposed as a 3-year contract, we only did 2. We did the 3-year contract with skill.
You're right, yeah. You're right.
Well, I still don't feel fair to wait till the end of the year and then tell them they're gonna give them.
But you want
No, and that's really. We have to think of these things when we go into our budget.
That's what I'm saying, I mean, they ain't working every day thinking, well, we're gonna get funded next, you know,
That's how we go running.
right, so we need to.
But I agree with you so much now, but the thing is too, somebody's gotta take the initiative. If they wanna keep the contract, they have to show us why they're gonna keep the contract. It's not for us to tell them
Right.
how to show us. That's for them to show us
Yeah, you
what
know,
they can do. I mean, you know.
Actually, that's
I'm
not
not
a bad idea. I mean, as a board. We could have a work study as the Development Foundation Board, and we could come up with some deliverables.
Yep, that'd be nice,
You
yeah.
know, I agree with Todd on that. That wouldn't be bad. It would be more organic, actually.
Yeah.
Because that's why we're on the board too. We know what the county needs. We know what everybody's expecting. We hear from the public what they want. I mean, you know, there's some pretty simple things there. I mean, there's a lot of things that go unsaid. You know, like some of those marketing activities and things like that, but, you know, and sometimes that seems like a little bit of fluff when things are, you know, not going there, but, you know, I know a lot of people don't want to talk about solar. But Economic Development Foundation helped plan some of those meetings and get-togethers and other things that supported that. That's bringing in, $1.5 million worth of revenue in the county. I mean, the county government did it, you know, made the engagement.
But why
contract.
were they?
They were out
in
there.
the first place?
Well, and also hosting people and things like that. I mean, they use the office and, you know, and a lot of interaction. So there's a lot of things too that were with that, you know, that.
And you know, they have been operating since January without a director. That's kind of like a classroom without a teacher. Let's maybe give them a chance to get a director in there and maybe they'll take the bull by the horns.
Because I know.
Some new creative gentleman or lady will come in with some really bright ideas.
Given the convictions of some of the other board members, I'm fairly confident that Stark Tank will be another successful event this year. I mean, that's something they've definitely.
I think it's canceled.
Canceled.
No, we didn't cancel. I still have it available. We still have North Judson, we're holding it.
That's good.
We didn't cancel it. I know Kay said that it was a lot and I'm gonna be able to do
Running
it.
it.
But we haven't started yet. It's not till October.
Oh, well, who's gonna be running it?
When is it?
Is-
You've got deadlines. Mary said there's deadlines for each step.
We're trying. We're working on it.
So is
So we really
it
don't
still tied with the Development Foundation?
Not like it used to be.
Not like, but interesting statement was made this morning in our skill meeting. 90%, and I don't necessarily agree with this. 90% of the Stark County kids that stay in Stark County are at the lowest 20% of their class. And that goes back to originally why we want with the edit tax and with the Development Foundation is so we could take our own and bring them up by the bootstraps.
Prevent brain drain.
Pardon?
Prevent brain drain, they call it.
Yeah, and so that,
I got it right
that,
now.
that really shocked me when I heard that.
Well, that's a whole nother, with the way the school corporations are trying to kill off the youth participation and skill.
Yeah, the good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Don't get me wrong, I may come off like I'm trying to
I get
be
you,
the hero and save everybody, but it's not.
because I do.
I'm just trying to state a point. I'm not against the whole concept of it by any means. I mean, they've done some good things over the years. I mean, I think we can all say there has been some good come out of the whole thing. But I'm just, I guess I'm trying to.
Sounds like the question is.
I'm trying to kick in your ass that.
Sounds like it's a good return on our investment.
Exactly. Yeah, that's, I'm trying to kickstart this. That's why I'm trying to be so obstinate. I mean, I am obstinate, but.
Yeah, this started at 3:30, not 5 o'clock.
Well, yeah.
And I am gonna say that John's daughter applied, well, she didn't, because she didn't have the time, but we had a really great conversation.
I heard that.
And, you know, I'd like to bring her onto the board. And I talked to her about it. But, you know, I've had some interviews, and we got one coming next week that I think's gonna happen.
Good.
We gotta be able to show her some money to be able to.
Right, you said she was willing to work for what we advertised.
I did.
Okay,
But
you
we
just
gotta
said show her the
maintain it.
money.
No, we have to maintain it. No, I did. You're right.
All right,
I've talked about it, but we
Alright.
gotta maintain it. I can't offer somebody a job and then a year from now go, you guys aren't doing what you're doing, and then we gotta let somebody go.
well,
We
it
gotta-
could be motivational too if we structure it the right way, you know, yeah.
We're
I
good
like your
with
work
this
there.
disengaged thing. You see
Am I done?
this is
I'm gonna go home.
Me too.
I think so. So down.
I don't know. I'll do it
So-
tomorrow. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow.
All right, I'm gonna look at it too.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I know a little bit about it, so I'll.
Okay, but.
You open this up and do all this?
Figure out. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Janice.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion to approve the GMS agreement from. Mapping Solutions.
That's what I thought. I don't know.
Aye. All in favor? Aye.
You wanna go around the room, Dave?
Sure. We'll start up in the corner and work our way around if we start to have anything else. Hey, this is a stop.
Yeah.
We do that.
We're gonna go around the room, sorry, we'll just zigzag all the way through, if you don't mind.
Am I Zig?
You're zig.
Or Zag? Okay. I must say, I volunteered to help with helping continue Start thing. We got together, we heard all the details on every working part of that, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm not willing to give up 3 months of my summer. Because when we sat down and had it was so professionally planned and so well executed, it would take 15 volunteers to replace what that office did. Kay was in that meeting where we were overwhelmed at just starting. They bring economic, small business directors in to help these people before they present. Printing the program alone and learning to use that the printer machine was amazing, and it was just.
Well, hopefully you'll still help out.
Well, nobody else volunteers.
It's too much for two people.
Janice said it's still
Nobody
gonna
else.
go, maybe
She
she's
needs
still
a lot.
rely on your help.
Not to do it, but I can. Hopefully we can move forward with.
And that's just one thing, and I agree, a job description would be nice, like specifics, what did you want us to accomplish?
I think we'll work on that in our next meeting. Sir,
I have.
ma'am, if I can just go around the room, sorry. Anything, Larry? Sir? You wanna give way for your wife?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Doesn't everyone?
Yes,
You
I
said you
figured.
had people as candidates for the economic development. How is that voted on? Is that a public vote or?
No, that's appointed by the Board of Directors of the Economic Development Foundation.
Okay. All right, that's what I was wondering.
And in our case, when we renew each year, we decide who's gonna be there for the commissioner and from the council. It's one from the commission, two from the council. We decide that.
Okay, and one more
It's
thing.
from our boards.
You guys all seem to be piling on one person in here.
And I just wanna say, if I knew somebody that had broke down and needed a tow company, and I had heard something bad about a particular one, I might recommend not going.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Okay?
Sir?
I'm too hungry to comment.
What are we having?
Crystal, out of the way.
There you go. Pam?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the hospital board. I know you, I think Dave, you're the one that brought up the fact that there's no OB.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Are we gonna push to try to get that? Because there are Marshall County, Starke County, Glasgow County, White County, I don't think any of them have.
We always try to advocate for it. The problem is the liability and getting positions that are limited. We do always advocate, yes. We try.
I mean, I remember hearing the talks, we were gonna have a new hospital, all of this stuff in the past.
Yeah.
And
Well, you heard me. I didn't come any slack. I've been there
the
2 years.
hospital is, it's a great place. I mean, if you use it, it's pretty good for me. I don't want it to go anywhere. And I'm just curious, now they've got they're going to have a new surgeon that I hear.
They're gonna start having internists that are gonna be going back and forth. So,
Order,
yeah,
okay.
internal medicine guys.
Not interns, internal.
Internal medicine, yeah.
I knew that was. And I know that you have no comments. You say no comments, nobody makes any comments, but then there's all these people who make comments, and I forgot what I was gonna ask.
Sorry. I was gonna, like I said, I was gonna bring notepads and.
Yeah, it seems like when everybody does pile on, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't try to say.
Well, Don promised me it was gonna be a quick meeting.
Meeting's supposed to be half an hour.
Exactly. That's been 3 hours.
Come to these meetings when I can come. I also know that the fact that Cassandra has been very good about having meetings. Prior, for the public in our area to alert us what's going on and tell her what our concerns are. Then she can do with that what she wants, and I really appreciate that. I think she's the only one who does that.
Well, actually, since you bring that up, I am gonna be planning something for my constituency, but also inviting the rest like Cassandra does too, because I try to
Yeah.
attend when I can, but I've been
Right,
out
you
of
do.
town the last couple of them, but I like, especially if there are solar questions, because I'm the solar liaison, so. But I'm gonna be doing one that covers Washington Township, Oregon, California, North Bend, all my areas, so.
Your area,
Yeah.
okay, all right, yeah.
That way I can have some more
I
solar
just wanted
stuff.
to say that I really appreciate that those take place, and they're also conveniently located.
Perfect. Bernadette, sorry, I'm going around the room, sir, just 1 second.
No.
I got a question. All these solar panels that are up, my understanding that it's zoned agricultural.
Actually, I had an upgrade in its zoning.
What?
I mean, it's zoned, it's.
It's all zone A.
Right.
Okay, but what's the usage was changed?
The usage has changed,
It's
right?
industrial. You ever look up the definition of farming? Planting crops, livestock, they're not doing that. They're doing away with farming, livestock, it's lowering property values. Talk about this guy's business. That may not be, losing money for the county. Wouldn't, if it was zone industrial be more money for the county? That's what it is.
Actually, we can take it in a different time, but there is quite a bit of money for the county that's involved in that through an economic development agreement that we
Why is
have.
it industrial? It's not agricultural. They're paying the same taxes as farmland? No.
No, that was gonna be my point. No, they're not.
But it's not industrial. It's not zone industrial.
No,
Why?
sure.
It remains zone agricultural, but the use goes from agricultural to utility. And they pay about 9 times the tax that the agricultural does.
And it's in effect no different than when a residential property of sufficient size is farmed, where row crops are grown on a residential property. Because that happens a lot in this county as well.
We're still losing property values. I've seen more houses for sale
That these things are going up. Have we had lower assessed values in the last 3 years?
Actually, to be honest, what the county has seen so far is bidding wars on houses, so I don't know if we know that for sure yet, but if you have any information, we'd like to have it.
just driving around in the area to see for sale.
Yeah, because people are making big money on real estate right now.
Yeah.
People aren't gonna buy next to these solar panels. They don't wanna look at
Friends just sold
that.
their house. with
People
solar
complain that somebody's
panels.
propane tank is rusty. That's an eyesore. This is an eyesore. You live by it?
No, I live in a
Well, I
different
do.
township.
A lot of people do.
You will be.
Yeah, I will be living by it, yeah.
You will be.
Thank you, sir.
I won't.
It's got a hog barn smell.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
Sandy? Okay, Don.
And I get my time back.
Sure.
If you could. Earlier, you mentioned about if someone wants to get on the agenda for one of these meetings, they need to give a 48-hour notice.
Because we have to have a 48-hour notice.
Yeah.
By statute.
At this, for functionality's sake, we ask that any request to be on the agenda and any supporting materials required to be evaluated by the board at the meeting be submitted to the auditor's office no later than noon on the Wednesday prior to the meeting.
Because of the publishing requirements. Okay, so they would.
Submit it to the auditor's office.
Okay, how would they know when your next meeting?
Every first and third Monday.
It's the same way.
You hold that.
Unless it's a holiday.
With limited exception, the commissioners meet on the first Monday of the month at 5 p.m. and the second Monday of the month at 9:30 a.m. There are some exceptions, and those are published at least 48 hours prior to the meeting.
What, third Monday?
Yeah, third Monday.
Third Monday for the council.
Yeah, I was just wondering how that was gonna work. You know, I wanted to say something and I had to turn in a 48-hour notice.
All right, well, you can always say it at the end of the meeting. We're just saying we gotta get through the agenda. And then we'll take
Get
it.
them on the agenda.
Yeah, they'll still be public at the end of every meeting.
I'm done.
And people can get a hold of Don and myself too.
Yes.
We put things on the agenda,
Yep.
like we're okay with that.
Motion adjourned.
So moved.
I've got one other. How productive are we having the commissioners and the council together?
This was because the hospital was, meeting with us.
I think that you're right. No. When we have these joint meetings, not what I did say. When we have these joint meetings, we get confused who has the authority and who doesn't. And us commenting on things of the commission. We don't need to.
Waste of time.
Only as a private citizen. And so we're only. No, well, could I stop and I guess. I just think that it's.
Yeah.
There you go, thanks.